A sprint isn't your typical run. No, a sprint is where all your energy is packed into a few short, furious moments. This eXp sprint is designed for such moments with an outcome that qualifies you to win a spot in a room with 50 of the top eXp attractors in the nation. So get your game face on, your mindset right, step up to the chalks. This is go time. This is eXp sprint time. Coming November 4th and 5th, 3 events in 3 cities across the nation with a maximum of 50 people each, qualified by attracting 3 agents to eXp by October 15th. We will have the highest level of mastermind in beautiful locations with amazing food and sprint-type collaborations, propelling you to next levels previously thought impossible. This is a moment. Ready, set,
all right, well, good morning, everybody. We're about to get started, so if you can go ahead and find your seats. I think, is there any stragglers out in the hallway making their way in? All right, well, good morning. Thanks again for coming back here for day 2. Wasn't yesterday amazing? Yes. We had some great speakers yesterday. We were looking forward to some more great speakers today. It was really great to see Glenn show up with a nice surprise, right? So today we're looking forward to yet another jam-packed list of speakers. Get your pens handy for some more note-taking. And we wanted to also do some quick housekeeping real quick. So for those of you, some of you might not be aware, but underneath the shoes, inside the box, there's some more things in there for you. So if you haven't opened your box, go ahead and do so. For those who came late yesterday, or you're showing up first time today, raise your hand. Any first timers here today? Or were you late to yesterday's event? We're good, okay. Just wanted to make sure that we get everybody their eXp coin and their gift card. Yeah, so, you mean what we're doing with the shoes? Got it. So the red shoes that you see on your table, those are actually all going to be getting donated to the Boys and Girls Club. So obviously we were doing the sprint. The shoes are significant of the sprint. And, we wanted to be able to do something nice and give back. So we'll be donate in all 3 locations. So we'll be sending a bunch of shoes to the Boys and Girls Club. So that's really amazing. Great. Well, we are ready to go ahead and get it kicked off. So I think Brent, Ryan.
Morning, everybody. I hope everybody got a lot of sleep last night, because I didn't. No, we did. I'm just going to interview Brent. Actually, hold on a sec. I was going to introduce Brent, but I thought maybe better we just kind of have a little bit of a chat. Yeah. Because I had some questions for you, Brent, and you really opened my eyes to a lot of this opportunity. If I've made one mistake with eXp over the years, it's not thinking big enough. It's not truly understanding just the power of this opportunity that I have in my hands. And I spend a lot of my time now trying to encourage my group and my audience and people that are part of this company to really embrace just how big, and I'd say you're at the top of the list of people that have helped open my eyes. So I just wanted to ask you, how important is mindset for you?
Oh man, mindset's everything, right? I mean, Tony Robbins. Who's been to Tony Robbins? Raise your hand. If you know anything about Tony Robbins, he's big on that saying, 80% of the chokehold in your business is your psychology, your mindset. So it's everything.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, I don't know how many of you know my story, but probably about 1.5 years into eXp, the e-experiment, I was taking my mountain bike for a ride around the block, and I was getting a little cute, and I tried to bunny hop a curb and went head over heels, and I broke my hip. I literally broke the ball off my femur. And I was laid up for 9 months. I couldn't put weight on my leg for 9 months. And it was devastating. And, I was primarily a buyer agent. I was showing probably 30, 40 houses a week. And now I can't even get out of bed for a month. I had a walker. It was devastating. I was on and off pain pills for years, and really, it just created a cascading health crisis for me and my body. And something I really learned during that process was the power of your mindset, and just really how important it is to have the right programs running through your brain. And I've gone deep down the biohacking rabbit hole, and obviously health and wellness now. And kudos to you for losing 40 pounds. And I know that's just the beginning of your journey, brother. And your mind and your body are connected; they're not separate. So, but again, where did you learn sort of that awesome, just bigger than life personality mindset? Where did you get that?
When I was 19, my dad signed me up in Amway. Might as well have been Google, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon. The word meant nothing to me. I'm like, you buy these biodegradable soap products and you put yourself through college, and I don't pay for you to go to college. So I signed up a bunch of people, my college professors. Go figure, I was convincing even at 19. But I learned to read Zig Ziglar books, Tony Robbins books, books like John Maxwell, books by Les Brown, books, all the Augmentine, the greatest sales in the world. And so that really helped my mindset on being positive and overcoming and struggle. And so now I pay my kids $50 for every chapter they read. And they can only read one chapter, and they're all reading the Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And these are 15, 16, 17. It's great. I pay them. I can afford it. I said, this is more important in college. They get $250 a week. I have 5 of them. So that's like, it adds up. It's over $5,000 a month I pay them to read the books, because I believe in the books, and they have to give me reports every night of what it meant to them and their mindset. So I'm investing into my children, and I realize you don't have to pay them 50, you can pay them less, but.
Well, it's I just want to say something, because while I was laying in the hospital and just not feeling great, literally eXp saved my family. The power of passive income and just the camaraderie and the collaboration and the ability to literally log into the office from my hospital bed was so powerful to me. And then obviously when you guys joined, I don't want to bore the room to tears, but my grandfather was very successful, and he died at an early age, and then my father was not following in grandpa's financial footsteps, but he was a recovering hippie. And my mission in life was always to restore the family tree and kind of set it back up on the roots. My grandfather literally hit a tree on the way to his dad's funeral. And brother, I just want to give you a hug, man, because I appreciate what you've done for my family. And literally, you've set us on a path to financial and time freedom, and I just can't thank you guys enough. And everybody in this room here is very important to me and my family and my life, and I just can't thank everybody enough. So I want to give it back to Brent, because he's got a great little session for you. But thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brian. Give Brian a hand. This is awesome. So just as I start this next thing, it is so true. How many of you have maybe agents that work for you? When you ask them, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to show property, maybe hopefully go on a listing appointment, blah, 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 blah. What are you doing this week? Oh, I'm going to try to call some clients, some buyers. I'm going to work on some escrows. I'm going to very, very wandering. Zig Ziglar taught me this a long time ago. You're either a wandering generality or a meaningful specific. You can't hit a goal you don't have. That's why I said yesterday, if you don't have a goal to sponsor 30 people in the next 2 months, you're not even going to get close. If you don't, 20, somebody's like, well, I don't even have the goal. We're like, yeah, I can't believe those agents who are like, yeah, I'm going to go show property this weekend, and I'm going to hopefully sell, but they'll probably go buy new construction. I probably won't even get paid. That's all mindset. And so when you change it like, man, I'm going to show property Saturday morning at 9, another one at 11, 1, 3, 5. I'm going to write offers at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, midnight, 1 in the morning. I would write offers at 1 in the morning with clients at houses. Lock boxes don't work past 9. I go there on vacant homes, take the key out. I'll meet you at 1 a.m. at the house. I've done that because they couldn't meet till 1. I go, good, let's meet at 1. That sounds a little extreme. I don't know, I'm extreme. I'm doing great things. And the truth is, I go, I'm going to go to the movies. I'll get out at 12:30. I'll be back here at 1. And I had the home in escrow by 11 a.m. the next morning. So you got to get real focused. You have to have a sense of urgency. It's that gift of desperateness that God gave me. I am desperate to make a difference in the world. I'm desperate to succeed. I'm desperate to hit my goals, not needy. It's a big difference. But so let me ask you, Again, do you have that business plan? Are you really focused? Do you know what you're going to do tomorrow? I do. You know, have you taken the time and then you just keep it in front of you? Rob, where's Rob Litzinger? Do we have our goals written out at the office? And where else are they scotch taped to? I wrote out a huge sheet of very important goals to me. I took scotch tape one at a time. Another one. I probably have, 30 pieces of scotch tape, a full 8.5 by 11 down, and I read it all the time, read it all the time, read it all the time. Prior to that, I used to have the goals written out, and then 2 months later, you're like, what are your goals? Like, I don't know, where are those things? So you really got to focus on what's important and move you forward. So what I'm going to do this morning is, in the next 15 minutes, talk about building a fire in the basement. Some of you have sponsored 5, 10, 15, 20 people, and it's not happening for you. You're not getting duplication. It's not exploding. James, how many people a month join us now, every month? Okay, so he's right and he's wrong. That's 670 in our 7 levels, so technically he's right. But Kyle Whistle is killing it. Kyle, what level are you for me? 8th level. How many people you got in your group, Kyle?
1168.
How many people join your business a month?
109 last 30.
Okay, so now we're up to 800 a month, and that's just Kyle. We probably have 12, 13, 1,400 agents a month joining our organization. We track the ones on our 7 levels because we don't care about anybody on level 8. Just kidding, it was a total joke. But so a lot of times people will say, why do you help people on your level 8? Why do you help people on your level 12? Why do you help people on your level? Because when I go down and help somebody, how do you know who to help? They raise their hand by showing you activity. It's like spotters in the forest department. They're on those high ridges they got there. They're looking for a poof of smoke. And you see that all of a sudden you see it. And like, whoa. And you show up like the eXp cavalry. Let's rock and roll. You want to run, baby? Let's run. This is, I don't mean baby, but it's his wife. But it's just the way I talk to people. You I know Lexi well. But the point is this. You want to run? Let's run. I'll match you. Let's go. And so I show up where there's a poof of smoke. And I love it if she's on levels 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because if I get down there and I help her go sponsor 20 on my level 5, everyone at 4, 3, 2, 1 is like, oh my gosh, it's working. It creates belief. It's the fuel. It's rocket fuel. It creates belief. And then they're like, it's working. And then they go sponsor. And then the one on 3 sponsors. And then 2, all of a sudden the organization goes boom. And using that philosophy, we have, Cliff Freeman has over 4,000 in our 7 levels. Jeff and Marcy Williams over 2,400. Rick Jiha over 1,400. And then I believe there's Chris Okamura, right? Over 500, 188 in the Hawaiian Islands. And then there's Randy Bird, would that be the name? 350. Tom Daves, Don Yoakum, Matthew Stewart, Lexi, over 350. And then we have agents with 200 and 150. I think I have over 10 legs. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, look for the puffs of smoke. They could tell you or they could show you. What did Gary Vee said? Don't listen to me. Watch what I do. I think that was the quote yesterday. Did you guys catch that? It was something along that. Kyle, was that you? Look, they will show you. Your actions speak so loud I can hardly hear what you're saying. When I see that poof of smoke, I show up. I'm the eXp cavalry. And I bring people with me. And we're going to back. Is it Cornell? Cornelius. What a cool name, dude. That's a name. All right. So I'm like, there, let's go. I'm calling him every day. I'm working on it. My gosh, that seems like it's fast and fun, slow and painful. Well, I just don't have time. I'm going to go list, instead of listing 50 homes this year, I'm going to list 70. You, my friend, have the wrong goal. In my opinion. Yes, Jeff.
Building the fire in the basement that you taught me is it creates fear of loss also. When you start growing the group underneath, way deep in your organization, the people that are on your 4th, 5th, and 6th levels, they get excited because they start losing money if they're not going out and participating. That's all I want to do.
All of a sudden they have 50 people, 80 people, and they go, man, I only have 4 sponsored. I'm not even getting paid on level 2. And they work hard to get over 5. Now they're getting paid on level 2. And then they work hard to get 10, level 3. So something I forgot to tell you guys yesterday, which is very important, I created the mastermind in the tropics. And what the mastermind in the tropics is, the particular one I'm talking about is in Maui. It's a world-class destination. The world, it is like I've been all over the world. It is the best place you can be on the planet is Maui, except during now. But May of 2022, COVID's gonna be behind us. We will have a vaccine. You'll all have computer chips in your arm or whatever that works out. But here's the deal. We will have that part behind us. We're gonna be there in May, Maui in May. We're gonna be there probably during Mother's Day. Bring your children. But you cannot come unless you have 200 in your organization and you have 20 FLQA. I don't want you to have 3 FLQA or 7 FLQA and 400 or 500 in your organization because you're not making money. 20, you will make a lot of money. 10, you'll be making great money. 15, really good money. And 20, it's like pay off your mortgage in a few years money if you have 20 and 200. So that is the goal. So I'm inviting every single one of you to our mastermind in the tropics in Maui, May 2022. So I don't know where you are. Some of you already have 200, but you only got a 9 FLQA or 11. By us telling you got to be at 20 if you want to come, and here's your ticket. You want to know how you're getting in? Send us your back office screenshot where it's 20 or more FLQA and 200 more in your group. You're in. And that is the year. You send us that, you're in. And we're planning a couple hundred at our first one, and then the next year 400, the next year 700, and the fourth year 1,000. Mastermind Maui, it's going to be amazing. But I don't know about you, but if I was sitting here listening to that, I'd be like, oh, we're going to that. Right? We are going to that. So it's something every one of you could eat. It's a year and a half from now. You could easily be there. I was talking to Todd. He said, hey, can I hang out with you? So we met this morning. And I go, Todd, you can totally do this. He goes, dude, I'm going to have 300 by the end of this next year. No problem. So he'll be over 100 over that goal. And he's already sponsored 24. Yeah, he's an amazing guy. Get to know Todd. I did. And so build a fire in the basement's huge. So number 1, identify key leaders in depth. Number 2, support them big time. Bring the eXp Cavalry. Get your upline involved. Number 3, bring the eXp Cavalry. Number 4, look for key leaders under that person, so forth and so on. So then once you're kind of working in there, who else? Someone else raises their hand. You show up and you work and you help them get a win, and you help them get a win quickly, because wins create belief, and belief is a very powerful thing. So, and you just go all the way down, and then that line will explode on you. We will have, at the end of 2022, we'll have 10 legs that have over 1,000. Now, Cliff will probably be 8,000. The Wilms will probably be 5,000, right? That's 13, but 10 at over 1,000, that's 10,000 right there. The world's a big place. They go, oh man, you guys, listen to me. My success is your success. Your success is my success. Why is it so important that Cornelius succeed? Because the stock value goes up for all of us. We're in this thing together. I benefit wildly from Cornelius' success. Are you in my business, Cornelius? Oh, you are? Awesome, even better. Now, I had no idea. But here's the deal. Even if he wasn't, I would help him. I would get on the phone. I'm happy to talk to someone for you. I don't have 28 listings anymore. I don't have 28 little bosses that are mean and nasty, right? Most of my sellers were great, but some are like, oh my God, we're out of flyers. There's no flyers in the flyer box. You didn't do an open house. My neighbor's agent did an open house every weekend for 2 years. And you haven't even been here. You were here only 7 times in the last 7 weeks. They were there 14 times, and they helped me pull weeds. Sellers can be some crazy. And so we need each other. We all benefit from everybody. We're like a living amoeba. We're a living organism. My success benefits you. Your success benefits me, whether we're in each other's groups or not. So again, this belief fuels the belief and excitement in your group. Start a text thread. This is a really important thing to do. The first group that it ever happened with, and I don't think it was me that did this. I think it was Cliff Freeman, might have been Al Stasek or Jay Kender, but they put together a text thread about 3 years ago, maybe, James? And James is on that text thread. I'm on that text thread. Cliff Freeman's on that text thread. Al Stasic, Jay Kinder, Michael Reese. And that thread goes all the way down to, I believe, Kyle Whistle and Mark Z. Mark Z's anchor in the bottom. And that thread's been running for like 3 years. And someone goes, hey, who knows when Mexico's open? Brrr. Hey, look at the stock price today. Brrr. Hey, show us your back office. Brrr. Oh my God, I'm signing up 40 agents in Minnesota. Brrr. And everyone's celebrating. And it's just like a dopamine hit, a shot in the arm. You know, if I was a heroin addict, it'd be like a shot of heroin. I don't know, but that's a really bad example. Now, but here's the deal. How do you like being on that thread, Kyle? I don't know what he means, but okay, if that's what you're saying, yeah, I don't click on all their stuff. But so here's the deal: that threads, I've been starting that throughout my business. So you look for like, well, I've only got 18 in my business. I've only got 12. Take 2 or 3 of your leaders and start that thread, and then find some from them and add them, and then I'll tell people, look, Matthew, I will work with you, but when you have a question for me, put it on the thread. When you have a victory, put it on the thread. If I'm busy and you have a question, Tom Daves will answer. If he's busy and I'm busy, Don Yoakum will answer. And Lexi can. And so what happens is we all learn together and we find out, and it motivates everybody. They're having a rough day, and Matthew's on there. Hey, who can help me? I got a broker with 200 agents in Wyoming, in Cheyenne, totally excited. This actually did not happen. I'm just making it up for an example, but he always has amazing people that he's working on. And Don and Tom, since Matthew's in your business and Lexi are in your business, does it bum you out to hear he's working on? What's the biggest group you're working on right now? A couple different independents with a couple hundred agents. I mean, he does this stuff all the time. I don't even know how he does it. I was like one at a time, like Kyle Whistle. No one ever called me. I'm calling out. I didn't do it their way. I like my way. But I'm willing to go through the wall and call. But that's a beautiful thing that they do. If you can get people to call you. I mean, I hear about them. I don't have time to call, and I just respond to all the people that want to get an eXp. Puke, throw up. Oh my God, are you kidding me? And so it's awesome. I probably have call envy. I don't know what you call it. But it's encouraging. So build that text thread. It's a shot in the arm every day. I'm going to wrap up here. BHAGs. Set goals that are so big it encompasses your group. I need to have 10 people to 1,000. And guess what I do? Then the next 10, 11 through 20, they'll all be at 100. And then one day they'll be at 1,000. Is it because I need to make $40 million a year in revenue share? Maybe. No, I'm kidding. How would you like to have where you can literally do whatever you want now? I mean, we literally can live, go, do whatever we want. It's just not an option. A lot of people have stock and investments, but you can't. Cash flow is an amazing thing. And so we have that. But then set goals for your agents. I dream about Jeff and Marcy Willems being at 5,000, right? I dream about these guys being up at 2,400 like Jeff and Marcy. And I'm talking to them about it all the time. Talk to your group about their goals. You have such big goals. It pulls your group forward. Very important. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Talk about it. And then your agents will rise to the level that you expect for them. I talked about that yesterday. So I believe this is my final question, and it is. And we're going to have some fun. Don Yoakum's going to blow your mind. But I will say this. Am I introducing Don? Oh, good, because I want to introduce you. So number 13, I'm going to bring Don up. Very important question. Everyone stand up. I want you to stand up for this. I want to anchor this into your soul and to help you get some. Everyone standing? I want everyone standing. I'm looking around the room. I need everybody standing, even if unless you can't. All right, so 13, let me ask you a question. If you were to list 50 homes and or sell 50 homes, or list 25 agents this next year, and or sell 25 agents on the benefits of eXp. And of course, you want to tell stories. Stories sell, facts tell, and get into their psychology, as Kevin and Fred taught us, and find out what makes them tick, and find out, like Tom Days was talking to me this morning, about where their pain point is, and instead of just throwing up eXp on them, and then solving that pain point, and you do this thing. 5 years from now, whether you sell 50 homes or 500 this year, or this next year, or you list and sell 25 agents on joining eXp and become a part, what do you think you'll remember 5 years later? The 50 to 500 homes you sold, or the 25 agents you sponsored? I sponsored 40, and it turned into 4,000. Then it turned into 8,000. Now we're over what? What's the number today? 9,090. It just keeps growing. It's like out of control, man. I have completely lost control of my finances in a positive way. Write that one down. I'm completely out of control financially. It's insane. You guys, no, I want you to get this. You ready? And I'm a people person. You know that. I haven't bought anything because I don't need to buy anything. I have love, and love's all I need. And I enjoy nice stuff. And it's easy for you to say you just got a place in the Caribbean. Okay, fine. But so, oh shoot, I was gonna say something that was profound. 54. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to introduce Don. Sit down. Now, it'll come back, so grab a seat. Man, just whoop. Okay. But you get the point I'm making. Does everyone get the point? Who wants to lose control of your finances in a positive way? Oh, got the point. So, remember James, we used to pray, man, if we could just sponsor 10 agents a month. How many is that a year? 120. In 3 years, how many do we have? 360. It'd be 250,000 a year. Just 10 agents a month. That's all I want. Please, dear God. And then we did 20 agents a month. And I'm praying, God, please, if I could just have 20. I'm sorry to bother you. And then I got 20 a month. And that's how many a year? 240 a year. And in 3 years, how many is that? 720. That's $500,000 a year rev share cash flow. Just 20 agents a month. And we got to that. And then I'm like, God, I know I told you I'd never ask again, but can I just have one agent a day? Just one agent a day, God. 30 agents a month. That's how many agents, right? I don't even know. Was that 360? Thank you. Yeah. It's 360. Thank you. 365 agents a year times 3. It's over 1,000 agents in the next 3 years. Oh my gosh, $750,000 a year, just whether I get out of bed or not, whether you broke your hip or not. And we hit that. Now the numbers are, I remember when it hit 100, then 200, then 300, then 400, then 500, then 600. And then now we're up around 77 levels. But the group, it went on to 800 and 900 and 1,100 and 1,200. We're probably 1,400 agents a month. And you guys, there's 208 countries and 25 million agents. We haven't scratched to scratch on the scratch. You are not too late. Your timing could not be better. And they'll talk about 2020, what a year it was. The stock was only X. The company wasn't a $100 billion company. It was just a $3 billion company, a poultry $3 billion company. Don's about to come up and talk to you about that. But here's the deal. Any of you dream about having rev share that is like $1,000 a day? Does that sound good? And I'm not a money guy, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. That's $30,000 a month. Who could you pay your bills on that? $30,000 a month, your mortgage. James, we've had days where our revenue share has hit up to what? It's not always like this, but we've had days that, what is it? 20,000 plus a day. Is that incredible? So here's the deal. How did we get there? By loving, serving, sacrificing, caring, adding value, letting our agents know we love them, creating little go out to pizza barbecues. I carved up a pig and did a Hawaiian luau in my backyard. We're renting a cabin like Kyle Whistle, multi-million-dollar cabin. I think it's like, how much is it going to cost us to rent that thing? The cabin. $2,500 on a ridge, views for miles. It's like lifestyles of the rich and famous. And we're doing a business planning clinic from 10 to 5. Dinner's coming in at 5. And you think, well, I can't afford it. We'll get 5-year leaders each to kick in $500 and you can't afford it. Get your mortgage lender to come up and pay for the whole thing, and you can afford it. Quit telling me why you can't do things and start doing things. So I'm going to introduce to you one of the most successful franchise owners in the history of Keller Williams. Don owned at one time either all of or part of 30 Keller Williams franchises at one time, 30 of them. He was the #1 guy in North America. He is now at eXp, absolutely killing it. He's got a beautiful mind. They could have made that movie about him. We've asked him to come up and share eXp by the numbers. So help me welcome Don Yoakum. Give him a hand.
How about another clap for Mr. Brent Gove if he's being put in a fire in your basement? All right, I'm going to share my story with the eXp numbers. It starts about 4 years ago, about the time that Brent Gove got into eXp. And Jeff, I was one of those guys that Brent called because he desperately didn't want to make a bad decision, right? And so Brent calls me and, oh, Don, gosh, I just respect you so much. I really would love your opinion on this business model. And so sure enough, I bit, and I watched the video a couple times and got on a call and so forth. And at that time, I believe the agent count in eXp was 2250. Does that sound about right? Okay, so I came away from that experience thinking eXp was too good to be true. Remember, I had 30 bricks and mortar brokerages with Keller Williams, and I knew what the economic model was for that, and I did not see how they could pay a compensation plan the way that they did. They could offer stock, and they could do revenue share. It just did not make sense to me. And I told Brent that. I said, hey, this thing looks really good. Actually, it looks too good to be true, but I'm pretty sure you're going to succeed at it. So fast forward, I get a call from Randy Bird. I think this is a year, 18 months later, and he says, yeah, old Brent's making over $100,000 a month. And I remember going to my wife at that point, and I said, well, sweetie, maybe we should take another look at that eXp thing. She's like, are you kidding me? Yes, what are you doing? Okay, so I did, and that, by the way, coincided with eXp getting accepted on NASDAQ, which in my mind was a big deal, because I thought, well, if the economic model was really unsound, they would not have been accepted on NASDAQ. But I didn't take that as the gospel. I reached out to a past business partner of mine, Gene Frederick, who many of you know. Gene and I did 2 KW market centers together, one in Cupertino, one in Palo Alto. And Gene, by the way, in a prior life was a CPA, so he really knows his numbers. When I joined KW, by the way, I flew to Dallas Preston Road, and he took me through the KW economic model, and I ended up having a pretty good run. So I thought, well, this would be a good person to check in with. And so what Gene did is really help me get my arms around the economic model of eXp. And so now I'm realizing not only is this model sustainable, but in fact, I think it's going to be more sustainable than the bricks and mortar model that I had come from. I still wasn't quite in. In fact, I came to this very building to do further due diligence. Remember that, James? Scottsdale, 2 years ago. Bottom line is, I joined. At that time, the agent count had then elevated to 10,000, approximately 10,600, I think it was. So I figured that delay period is costing me about $100,000 a month right now. Could you not have been a little more persuasive, Brent? Come on, dude. Anyway, so but I did join, and I was very fortunate to hire the #1 KW agent in the world, Tom Daves. Yeah. And it's been a great run for us. So my job is to share with you some of the numbers that we all are experiencing in eXp, and then you can pass on, because I know many of you are leaders, you can pass on to your organization so they can understand how to do what you're doing. But first, before I go there, I want to just make a point. Remember, I told you I was impressed when they got accepted on NASDAQ, and one of the things that I did is I started following the stock, and as you guys know, this year the stock has performed incredibly well. Our market cap is somewhere between 2.8 and 3 billion today. And a little tidbit of information is that the total capitalized value of RE/MAX International, which is also publicly traded on NASDAQ, is 1.4 billion. And coincidentally, Realogy, and you may know that brand because they are the holding company for Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Better Homes, ERA, Sotheby's, etc., they also have a market cap of about 1.4 billion. So in other words, what the market is saying is that eXp is worth more than the sum of RE/MAX and Realogy, the two of the largest real estate companies in the world. Pretty amazing. Yeah. And as Brent said, I really think it's just the beginning. Even when we joined, there were a few potholes still in the road that aren't there today. But, while I kid that I'm losing $100,000 a month because I didn't join when Brent did, he had to weather some pretty severe storms that we're not having to deal with now, right? I mean, we literally are going on a paved road. So I'm a real estate coach. I got into real estate. My first full year was 1990. In that year, I closed 51 deals, and I did that at RE/MAX, by the way. Had a great experience there. But since 2010, I've been a professional coach in real estate. And one of the things that I do when I coach an agent or I take on an apprentice that I'm going to mentor is, if they're new into the business, I ask them to build a list of 120 people that they know, like, and trust. And I ask them to do that and to communicate with those folks personally every 90 days. So if they have 120 people, there's 60 working days in a quarter, they call 2 people a day as a real estate resource. So the system that I'm going to share with you today about the numbers in eXp is to model that plan. So what I want you or the folks in your organization to do is first come up with a list of the 12 biggest, baddest real estate professionals that you know on the planet. The most influential ones that you think are the absolute best fit for eXp. I want you to build, just like your apprentice would, a total list of 120 people and call 2 people a day, just like an apprentice realtor would do. The goal is eventually to build that sphere of influence, in this case, realtor sphere of influence, to 300. Incidentally, if you're adding 2 people a day, which Brian Carruthers from Building an Empire, if you haven't read that book, you should, would have you do, it's going to take you 3 quarters to get to 300 plus. Actually, if you're doing 2 a day in 3 quarters, you'll have 360. So you actually have to start trimming. That doesn't mean you don't need to communicate with those other 60, but you just don't need to do it personally, okay? And so if you've got 300 people in your sphere, you make 5 calls a day. I didn't say 5 contacts. I didn't say 5 extended conversations. You just need to make that phone ring 5 times a day. My belief is that you'll be able to do that in 1 hour. Okay, now, is there anybody in the room that has called 2 people a day, every day, since they've been in the company? 5 days a week. Have you really, Larry? That is insane. No wonder your organization is growing so fast. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so I don't see it very often. Obviously, you're having a lot of success because of that, right? But I'm just trying to keep this as simple as absolutely possible. And just like I train my agents to do to come as a real estate resource to their consumers, do you need a painter, plumber, roofer, landscaper? Right? Because you can't call them every 90 days asking them if they're going to move. They only move every 7 to 10 years. Want you to do the exact same thing. I want you to call the agents as a real estate resource. Ask them about their business. Ask them what they're winning at right now. I mean, this has been a crazy year, but we've had a record year in many respects. And then ask them what they feel most challenged by. And here's my encouragement to you, is to add value to them in some way. And if you do that, they're going to welcome your call. Connect them to a resource, connect them to a coach, connect them to a peer partner that will help them. Give them advice that will help them get to the next step. But add value in some way. By doing this system, this 5 calls a day, you'll recruit at least one person a month. And I would say that, Tom was giving me a hard time. Are you kidding? It's going to be more than that. But of course, not everybody has Tom Dave's closing rate. Pretty much anybody that can fog a mirror, if they make those 5 calls a day, is going to be able to recruit at least one a month, okay? Now, that's going to enable you to attract 60 people in 60 months. But an interesting thing is that in the first 2 years, it's going to lay for you what I refer to as a foundation. You're going to have a foundation of 24 people. And what I have learned by studying the eXp numbers is that roughly 3 years from the day you lay that foundation, whatever that foundation is, it will be 25x that 3 years from that day. So if you lay a foundation of 10, it'll become 250. If you lay a foundation of 24, it'll become roughly 600. If you lay one of 40, it'll become 1,000, okay? But I'm suggesting that following this plan, you're going to at least get to 500. Now, in that process, something else is going to happen. In those 60 months, remember, you're going to make 60 recruits. 1 out of 20 of your recruits is going to become a business builder. And that is what will cause the majority of that growth, right? Those 3 key people. And you're going to follow the principles that Brent just shared, which is to build in their basement, right? When he's talking about putting that fire in the basement, I would be discerning about where I lit that fire. In other words, light it under talent. And it's not difficult to figure out where that is, because you're going to see their energy, you're going to see their activity, and you're going to want to reward that. So that, many of you know that we make about $812 per agent per year. So 500 is 460,000. I'm suggesting just 250,000 here. Yesterday, Kyle walked you through applying a 4 cap rate. I do a 5 cap rate because I want to keep my math easy. Can anybody tell me if you have a recurring stream of 250,000 with a 5 cap, what's the value of that company? You multiply by 20, by the way. Do we have any math whizzes here? It's 5 million. One of my guys got it. Okay, so it's $5 million, man. $149 investment, make 5 phone calls a day, recruit 1 person a month, get 3 leaders, end up with 500 people, build a $5 million company. And that's conservative. There's many people in this room that have done far, far more than that in that same amount of time. So I'm going to close with a thought, and this comes from, how many of us know Seth Godin, the author? great guy. I actually went to a 4-day clinic of his, and he is definitely the real deal, in person as he is in his books, his message. And I was listening to an interview, actually this morning, between Lewis Howes. You guys know Lewis Howes from School of Greatness? Well, so Lewis Howes is interviewing Seth Godin. And you guys, if you've watched Lewis in the past, you probably know his final question, what's your definition of greatness, right? And so Seth came up with what I believe is the best description of greatness that I have ever heard. And that is what I want to aspire you to be. And his definition is that you will be missed. So the context that I want you to apply it in now is your 300 people that you're going to call every 90 days, okay? I want you to come from enough value so that when you stop calling, you are missed. How often are salespeople missed? This is not a common thing, is it? So I'm asking you to be something different. I'm asking you to be a person that comes from a place of contribution, a person of value. And by the way, even when I didn't blow Brent off, but even when I turned Brent down, you know what he did? He just loved on me. As a matter of fact, I had accepted a regional role up in the Northwest, and I needed some help with a webinar on open houses, and I know Brent was an open house guru. And so even though I turned him down, I called him and, hey, buddy, will you do this for me? And he's like, are you kidding me? Absolutely, Don. And a great lesson to be learned is that it's not always no, but it might just be not now, right? Because I ended up joining a couple years later, right? And so, Brent, want to thank you again. And if we can model that behavior, I can tell you, I'm really glad that you've lost 40 pounds, because if you weren't with us, you'd be missed. Okay? By, I think, all of us in this room, and many more. With that, I'm going to wrap up. I want you to come from a place so that when you're gone, you're going to be missed. Thanks.
All right, our next speaker. Let's see, where do I think it was 2010. I was going through a hard time in my marriage. Separated from my wife for 8 months. Not living at home. Life sucked. And I go to NAEA to be a speaker in front of thousands of people, and I felt pretty bad. I don't know if any of you have ever gone through struggles in your marriage, but it's the kind where you get up and get dressed and walk around your block at 3 o'clock in the morning because you just are sick of laying there in bed. And so here I am at NAEA, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese's event, and I'm just mentally freaked out. I'm just not in a good space. And Curtis pulls me aside. He goes, man, can I pray for you? And we just got on our knees and just prayed. And it was really, really helpful for me at that time. So, we've been friends for Craig, a long time, 15, 20 years. And of course, when I got an eXp, I called Curtis, and I'm just working on him. Now, he said, I just sold my company to another company, and I can't. 2 weeks ago, I just can't. But you're going to do great. Good luck, Brent. And so we stayed in touch for a year, but he'd always ask me about it. And we must have talked, 9 times that year. I remember one time James and I came out of Santa Cruz. And where's my Santa Cruz friend here? I got someone here from Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz agent, he slipped out in the back. Where is he? Santa Cruz, Jeremy. There he is. How many people in your group now? 116. Congratulations. That's awesome. So we were coming back from Paso, the famous golf place you got there in Santa Cruz, and we're coming through the mountains, and I get on the phone with Curtis, and I'm hours from home. Next thing I know, I'm in my driveway, and we spoke for 2 hours about eXp, and he was asking questions. What about this? What about this? What about this? For 2 hours. And then finally, after he talked to everyone, this boy did some serious homework. He finally joins eXp. Today, he has, how many people you have in your group today? I was going to say 1,800. I can't even keep track. Over 3,100. And so congratulations, Curtis, all your success. You're doing awesome, man. We love you. He's from Phoenix, Arizona. He came a long ways, or I think Phoenix, right? Give him a hand. Thank you, Curtis.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. This was good stuff. And Don, that was awesome. Like, I was filling up my page. Thank you. I've never heard about that. Like, if you were a salesperson, would you be missed? Wow, that was really cool. So hopefully everybody got the message with that. And I need a favor. So I know we're kind of all distance and stuff like that. I'm not a great speaker, but if you guys could help me out and send me some really good energy, right? Send me some good vibes. You got to be here either way, right? Wow, that's pretty cool. Right. And I'm going to share a couple things. There we go. But I'll share a couple things I think that have made a difference in my observation on other people and how we kind of go through this. I don't like really the words follow up or follow through or anything else like that, because I don't think anybody really wants to be followed up on, right? I actually kind of don't like that at all, but that was the topic here. Does anybody have kids or actually seen a kid before? Raise your hand. Right. All right, come on. Everybody should have their phone down except for Kenny. Kenny's allowed to be on his phone because I don't know what would happen with Kenny if he didn't have his phone, right? But if you've had kids or seen kids before, there's a company called Pixar. And if you go back and you really look at how they make the movies, anybody seen Toy Story, right, or heard about it? It's a pretty great story, right? When they first started making it, it sucked, right? The characters were snarky and mean and combative, and they're like, this sucks, right? And what they do is actually they go through and John Lasseter and everybody else that goes through, they say, if every movie doesn't start out as like an unmitigated disaster, it's probably not going to work. Because what they do is they start taking it and they start chipping away at it, right? And I kind of think that that's how almost everything else is. I don't know what I did here. Nothing's really working, but no. There we go. All right. And I'm going to start with everybody we talk to is a hard no. Now, is that exactly true? Maybe not, right? Sounds like Jeff Willems was, Brent called up. I think I was one of the first 6 or 8 people that Brent talked to. He kind of shared that story. And everybody's really a hard no. You were probably a hard no at one point. And people come and they go, oh, I tried to talk to this person, and they really weren't interested. And I was like, okay, I get it, right? No problem. But everybody really is a hard no to start with. So why are we so surprised when we talk to somebody and they're not interested, right? So think about the story. We're going to kind of go through a little bit of a journey with this. And so, you guys hear this, some of the people in your group, they go, oh, I sent them the link and, I haven't heard back or whatever, right? Is that people aren't out going, hey, can you send me a link? I'd like to collect some more links, like their baseball cards or something like that. I'm like, people aren't out being link collectors. So when you talk about having someone, Brent talked about driving a couple hours to watch the webinar, the overview with people. I thought that's awesome. But we have to really be able to connect. And it's harder now than ever, right? With the distances, with stuff like that. But we have to really be able to connect. So think about the story, your own story. And I went back, I tried to find some old texts of, when Brent, again, I knew him for a long time. I knew all his successes, some of his struggles, and different things like that. Loved him. He's just such an amazing person. When he reached out, right, I had just barely moved my independent over to Chuck and Angela's company, and he called up and goes, oh my gosh, which I knew he was hurting, right? He was in a bad spot. He was looking for something, but he was still crushing it with KW and things like that. And he goes, I found something. Have you heard of this company, eXp? And Brian reminded me, a little while later that I'd made fun of him in a group before because I didn't understand the connection, right? I just saw these blockheads, if you will, right? And I just thought, why would I want to have less connection in real estate? That doesn't make any sense. What I didn't understand is it's an addition to, right? So I just barely gone over to Revelation, and I said, Brent, like, I'll listen, but I'm just going to tell you, you could be handing me gold bricks and I'd say no, right? Because I was committed, right? I was in that. And, just kind of like what you said is he just loved on me even more. So I would say nobody wants to be recruited. Everybody wants to feel important, but nobody wants to feel like a number. So love them even more. Not from I'm going to get something out of it, but just be authentic, right? Just love them even more. Nobody wants to be treated like you're the path for them to get to Puerto Rico. Nobody does, right? You're like, oh my gosh, But I tell Brent all the time, I'm like, he's like, oh, this is so awesome. And I'm almost apologetic. I'm like, I wish I could make you more money. Legitimately, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do this. Because when you understand the model, it's not like a win-lose, right? Everybody wins. And so we want to be able to do that. So here's one of the takeaways. We have to understand where people are coming from, right? Because in that scenario, my thing was, okay, I just barely partnered with some people, come over, and that was my identity. That was where I was coming from. The people you talk to, they might be, I'm Keller Williams, I'm this, I'm that. So we have to think about what their identity is. Kevin and Fred that were here, I talked to them, I said, hey, what could we do? And I was like trying to get them to come over to Revelation, go, what could we do? And, their mentality was, hey, I was hanging out with Gary Keller on his ranch, and that's their identity. As long as that's someone's identity, they're not going to be able to do that. What we have to be able to talk to people about is instead of this massive change in their life, right? Does anybody go, hey, I'd like to go get, we see the angst of people going with the new eXp logo that's coming out, right? Oh, I just barely spent $20 on business cards. How am I going to recover from that? Is there loans we can get from it? Or how do we recover from this? Nobody wants to go new signs. Nobody wants to go do that. So when we talk to people about it, when I first talked to Kevin and Fred about it, I was like, oh, hey, I'm looking at this model. I'm thinking about this. How would this work? And I was like, you guys run this massive team of 80 people. Here's how the splits would work. Here's what you could do with the mega. I was like, the mega team plan had just come out. I was like, this is brilliant for you guys. But it wasn't about the connection, right? It was about how these numbers business-wise, because I knew they were great at business, and they weren't here, but really what sold it for them is when we understand what the connections can do, right? That you can go through and they see the change in your life. If they don't see that your life is changing, they're not going to want to join you, right? Nobody goes, oh my gosh, you put on 40 pounds. What gym do you go to? Nobody says that, right? Oh my gosh, you look miserable. Like what are you doing? How do I get like that? Nobody does that, right? They go, wow, what's going on in your life? You're having fun. You're doing these things. So be that person that they want to be around. So stop focusing on how hard the transition is. And for me, my experience of going through it, talking to Brent, he was just loving on me and just helping me go through that. Talking to Stroop, and he'd break it all down. I just can't do this because I looked at it as a thing that I was committed. Chuck and Angela with their company, and I was like, I can't extract myself, right? And so the crazy thing is, obviously they had a massive company. Me going and we had open conversations. I said, hey, this is what I'm looking at, and how do I make that? How do I do that? And it wasn't until we kind of found a way to be able to say, well, does it have to be an either or? Right? Does it have to be an either or when we talk to people, or can you do this in addition to it? When we start talking about eXp as a platform to be able to help them get somewhere, right? They're still going to be able to sell houses. It doesn't matter if they're a Coldwell Banker, eXp, Sotheby's, they're still going to sell houses. We got to stop talking about that this is this massive change, right? This is kind of a stacking. You get all the things you had before, but instead of being lonely in real estate, you now get 7 to 10 partners that you didn't have before, all those different things. So when you start talking about in addition to, right, everybody wants free gifts. Everybody wants things. We have to start coming from a place of, here, you're already going to do that, right? You can still keep the relationships. You can still do those things. But when you start going, well, how can I have this and this, right? Then they don't have to change. They don't have to go, I got to change the stickers on my car when I go pick up my kids from school, right? I don't have to go tell everybody that I made a mistake. You guys get that? That's massive. They're not going to do that, right? It's only when the pain is so intense that people will be able to do it. But do we want people that are in pain, or do we want people that are already happy? We mostly want people that are already doing well and happy, right? And so we want people that are attracted to our vibe and things that we're doing. So tiny change, right? Hey, would you like to just do the same thing you're already doing, but instead of, I guess just do what you're already doing, but just change the logo on your sign, all of a sudden get painted dramatically more. Would you be interested in that, right? Kind of seems stupid, but you're like, well, what's that? Right? When people go, oh, I'm all hung up in my brand, right? Kyle Whistle was massive about your brand. You're like, hey, you've built this orange brand. Like, I can't leave this. Years ago when I was talking to Jay Kinder and he was looking at creating a franchise, I go, dude, it's gonna be a bomb. Right? I go, it's gonna bomb. He goes, we're gonna have all this stuff. We're gonna do this. I go, here's the deal. People are so wrapped up in themselves. You're asking them to change their name, change their logo. He goes, but it has to go across the board. I go, they won't do it. Right? They're not going to do that, right? You see the pushback. So instead of asking someone to rebrand themselves, change their whole life, go back to all their brother, sister, everybody else in their office and say, I was totally wrong about what I did before. Even if they were, I was wrong. Now I'm right. It doesn't work like that. You've got to make them be able to have this small little change, right? Does that make sense a little bit? So if anybody's, not to be dark, but if you go back and you look at how did they take POW, people, prisoners of war, right, and have them go from people that would give their life for their country to just a couple months later being on video or writing confessions. How do they do that, right? Because people say, oh, you could kill me, I wouldn't do it. How do you do it? It's in small things, right? They have to say, instead of, okay, we captured you, you need to get on TV and say how bad America is. They'd say, after treating them well, what's not great, what's not perfect in America, right? We could find not perfect stuff in America right now, couldn't we? Right? But what's not perfect? And they go, well, there's some people that are hungry and that are starving. You go, wow, in communism, everybody has food. Don't you think that's nice that the hungry people have food? And you're like, well, yeah. And it's small little things like that, right? You guys kind of get the idea? Instead of saying, hey, here's the deal. I want you to come from a place you're paying $50 a month, and now your cap is $16,000. You're going to have to rebrand everything. Go tell everybody how wrong you were about it, right? Just say, hey, well, what's not perfect where you're at right now? What do you wish was a little bit better? Well, they say they've got leads and they don't. They say they've got training and they don't. Oh, really? Well, tell me about that. And have that conversation. You guys get that? What's not perfect yet? What's not perfect where you're at? So what do you wish was even better at your current brokerage? Right? And they go, oh, it's great, right? That's what we say. Like, how's everything go? Oh, it's fantastic. They've already backed themselves in a corner, right? So you just start having a conversation. You know what? What do you wish was a little bit better? Right? What do you wish was a little bit better? When you start having that conversation, it really opens up. With this, when you start having those conversations, most everybody is not going to go right away. Most people are not going to go, oh, I watched the video, I'm ready to go. Most people are not. So don't be surprised by that. But what most people do is they go, well, now you're on their radar. Now they're watching you all the time. All the time. They're watching you. And here's the deal. You need to go like their stuff, comment, be in their world. Let the algorithms work for you, right? But you've got to create and build your digital body language so when they come back, they understand that you're a person of success, a person of character. I think this is important. Your perceived ability is determined by your visibility, right? People, if you were, you heard about a great attorney or anything else like that, and you pulled them up and you couldn't find anything online, wouldn't you be a little freaked out? Right? Or you pull up this attorney and you look and they're like, they've won case after case after case. You're like, that's who I want. Right? They're looking for evidence of success. So we have to give them evidence of success. But it used to be we had a resume, we had word of mouth. Now it's online, right? We have to build our digital body language with that. So a lot of times people go, well, I'm trying to build, I just can't get it. And I go, well, okay, so what are you doing? They go, well, they're not doing anything really. And I go, okay, so let's pull up your Facebook, right? I know there's other things like Instagram and some others. I've heard about those, right? So we're on one platform at a time. But I say we pull it up, and I look at it, and I'm like, so are you already with eXp? Are you a real estate? Because I don't know. It looks like you sell candles, right? It looks like you sell candles and play with cats. I don't know, right? So when they come to your Facebook, do they see somebody that's even in eXp, right? Does that even make sense? So when they come, do they even see anything that's of value? So you've got to be in their world, tag them on Facebook, and look at stuff that they've got in common on their page, right? And Brent says, oh, we had things that were totally different, how our follow-up, right? Friday afternoon, he'd be calling and crazy. That just wasn't what I wanted to do, right? I was like, I just got off one treadmill. I don't want to get on a different treadmill, right? My thing was, I'm going to live my life the best I can do. I'm going to bring massive value to people, but I'm not going to chase them. I'm just not going to. But I'll be in their world and comment, and then they could come back. And so that's what I would do. I'd comment on their stuff, right? And they go, like, even, why Kyle's here, right? I knew him for a long time. I didn't reach out to him, right? I was with Dan Beer in a mastermind. I did some launch videos and different things and said, hey, this is what I'm doing with eXp. He reached out to me, right? And he said, dude, I'm about to buy this Keller Williams franchise. What are you doing? You're pretty smart. This seems like a dumb move. Explain it to me, right? That's pretty much probably even ruder, right? But he was like, this is stupid. What are you doing? And so we went through it. We explained it, went through all that. So you've got to be in their world so that if they're looking out, right? It used to be they didn't really know very many people in eXp. Now everybody knows 10 different people, right? So who are they going to choose to be able to be that leader? Kind of like what Don talked about here is stop selling and start giving. Think about it. If you're going to go, has anyone ever door knocked or anything else like that? Right? Door knocked, anybody cold, has anybody been nervous about reaching out and trying to sell something? Anybody at all? Half the room? Okay. The other half lie. How would you feel if you were like, has anyone done pop buys or brought gifts to anybody? Right? How do you feel if you're bringing and you're giving something? It's kind of cool, right? When you're going and giving something. So just change it from instead of going and asking. I tell people stop being an asshole, right? Don't just go and asking for stuff. Go be a giver. So find stuff that you can give. If nothing else, if you get nothing else out of this, follow-up should be you showing up with a gift. You showing up with value, right? Stop taking. Stop going, hey, can you give me this? Hey, I want to take time from you. Show up and give people stuff, right? What can you give them? Well, there's all kinds of stuff. I talk to people and they go, I can't grow my group. I can't do this. I go, when's the last time you went to an eXp class? Well, I went like the first week I was in the company. That was like a year ago. I was like, okay, so what are you doing right now? And they don't consume anything. You've got to be sold before you can sell someone else, right? You can't just have been exposed to it once. You've got to constantly be going in and consuming. So go into the classes, go in. You've got to resell yourself all the time. And I tell people, go in for two different reasons. Go in because you're going to learn new stuff, right? But go in and take notes, like bullet points on what can I give away? Hey, I was thinking of it. I know you work in the luxury spot. This new thing came up. I just wanted to let you know about it. And that's really what I did. People go, what was your strategy? I said, my strategy was I just talked to some people, mostly online, but I mostly just shared, oh my gosh, Kyle Whistle's doing a training in our group, on how he's done this. Tina Call's done this. Mark Patterson's come in and done a training, on this. You talk about Jeremy Larson's gone from 8 million to 120 million. All these different things. We got all kinds of things in eXp world. We've got all kinds of things. Most people don't even know what we have inside of eXp. But here's our problem. We used to have a problem. No one knew what eXp was. Here's the problem now. Seriously. Everybody thinks they know about eXp and they don't know. They don't know. Everybody now, they goes, oh, I already know. No, you don't. You don't have a clue. Right? Brent did this the first day. What did he say? He goes, you didn't watch it. You didn't watch it at all. You were playing on your phone. How'd you know? Because you'd be here. Right? They know about it, they don't know it, right? They don't know it, they have to experience it. So go give, right? I talk about the importance of our group, of our people, and then they go, I just can't grow. And I go, how come I'm not on third-party calls and Zooms and all kinds of stuff? And they go, well, I just kind of did it myself. I go, so what are you selling? You're selling people on the idea that this is an incredible company, that the revenue share actually makes it amazing connection like we've never had before anywhere else. And it's all about the community and the group. And then you said, and I'm going to show this to you by not doing any of what I just talked about, by only showing you how amazing I am. Do you guys get that? You guys get how crazy that is? When we get on a Zoom with 3 or 4 people, when we go, hey, you got to meet my business partner. When we do that, that actually shows people what the model is about. When you tell them, oh, it's incredible, but it's just going to be me, right? You know why we do that? Ego, right? So we've got to look and give things away. We went through this yesterday. Always have a plan for the next call with you, but that's really the takeaway. So work on your digital body language. Instead of asking for stuff, go give it away. Go give and be an example of the community. Everybody starts at no, so just love them even more, give more, and we'll grow, and then you don't have to chase people. All right, love you guys, thanks.
Really good. Was that not fantastic? That's some great information, man. I hope you guys are soaking this up. Well, our next couple we're going to introduce up here, they were the largest independent to ever join eXp, as far as I know, in the history of our company to date. When I first met Chuck and Angela, or really heard about them, they had a huge independent here in Phoenix. And I think over 700, I'll let them give you the numbers, agents. And they created this wonderful culture and office and environment. And Curtis actually sold his company to them and folded into, I believe it's called Revelation Real Estate, now brokered by eXp. So they didn't give up the freedom, but they gave up all the lawsuits and the arbitration and all the hassle of that. They've got a monstrous business today with thousands and thousands of agents. They went from 700 to this shortly, probably this year, they'll be at 7,000. So when you could 10X what most people dream of to get to 700 as an independent, and then you 10X it, you've made the right move. They're a beautiful couple. Help me welcome all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, Chuck and Angela Fazio.
Your math is awesome.
Yeah. Not even
close, but I wish I had 7,000 for sure. Soon, that's right.
Yeah, we love this journey and meeting Brent and all the great people here is pretty powerful. So we're going to be talking about events and people that make big decisions at events. But we're going to tweak it a little bit so that you guys could literally take something away from this today, going, how do you change a business? Because we can definitely help you change your business for the better. We've mastered this, and it's what made us grow to be one of the top independent brokerages in the country. We wound up with 903 agents doing about $2 billion in production a year. So going to eXp was not an easy decision, but it was definitely the best decision we've ever made. So let me ask you guys a question. We talk about events, and right away maybe we gravitate towards events like a Tony Robbins event, or a Grant Cardone 10X event, or maybe a Dave Ramsey Big Entree Leadership event. And we think of these events as these are elaborate, high-producing, cost them probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to put it on. And then you got to go, do they work? Do you think they work? Absolutely they work. If they didn't work, they wouldn't be doing it. They bring in the top speakers, the bells and whistles, the lights, the music, the sound. People come in, they're all pumped up. And they're pumped up to be sold. That's what they're there for, to be sold. Now, sales is not a bad word. Being sold is not a bad thing. But this is how they make their money, these events. But I want to dummy it down a little bit because we're talking about events. So I said, well, what's the definition of an event? So I looked it up. A definition of an event is a thing that happens, especially one of importance, a planned public or social occasion. So what I want to do is I want to dummy this down a little bit. And when we talk about events, that we don't just gravitate towards these big, grand, $100,000 events. I want to bring it real, right into your backyard to say literally, we'll be talking about that. How we literally can help you grow the way we've grown over the course of the last 15 years to growing one of the biggest independent brokerages. It's this thought process. It's this philosophy we're going to be talking about. So with events, there's certain things that we want to break out. We want to break out is the 3 reasons why people show up to an event. Because if you don't know why they're going to show up, how are you going to market to that? And there's definitely 3 ways. And then the big one that we're going to break down is why. Why is it that they show up? And why is it life-changing sometimes for people when they go to these type of events?
So we actually did not understand why at first our brokerage grew so quickly, because we were doing things like having meetings and he was cooking pasta and sausage and meatballs, or sausage and peppers or meatballs or whatever. And we were doing that just because we love to serve and he loves to cook, right? So I didn't help, I don't cook.
She just looks good, that's all.
Yeah, so we did that just naturally, but it had tremendous results. But as we've matured in the business, we're putting our finger on the different things that events accomplish and why people come to events. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is people come to events for a reason, for an expectation. The first thing, two parts. They might want to come for information, right? They want to learn something, or they want to hear from somebody that they admire, which leads to the other thing is they want to be connected or something. They want to be a part of something, or they want to be there because of somebody. And so the information, like what Kyle said yesterday, I liked that. I know that he was just winging it, and he said, okay, who has something to talk about? And that's an efficient way to get value into an event. But actually, that's brilliant. Because people, if they come and they expect to get information, and what they end up getting is all of this information from people who they perceive are experts, it does 2 things. It edifies the person who is acting as the expert, which makes them feel good, and then it also delivers what the people came to expect. So that's good. Now, all of the things we're talking about is probably not new information to you, but what we're trying to get you to do is to think about these logically and actually on purpose, intentionally implement these ideas into what you're already doing, right? And then the second thing is, it's that FOMO thing. So we have a great friend of ours, Kristen. She is pissed she's not here. She actually recruited lots of people, but she just didn't put them in her front line, and now she's kicking herself. So FOMO is a real thing, and if you can create that through some of the events that you're doing, you know how you created it here? You made us earn it. That's awesome. Sometimes you create it because it's a personal invitation and you can only come if you were invited. So there are these elements that you can say, I identify with that. I've been the recipient of feeling special, or I've been the recipient of getting good information. So how do I intentionally integrate those thoughts into a presentation or an event?
Yeah, the next one, guys, is people attend events to meet key contacts. And when you can create key contacts at your events, it's definitely a draw for people. Because here's one thing that we realize, and I'm sure you can all agree to it. We like to be around other like-minded people. We gravitate towards each other. You ever think about this? Maybe you travel, let's say you travel overseas. Maybe you're on a cruise ship in Europe. And then all of a sudden you're talking to people, and then you go, where are you from? And you go, well, I'm from the United States. And they go, oh my gosh, we're from the United States. And they go, what part of the United States are you from? Well, we're from Arizona. Oh my gosh, we're from Arizona. Do we do that on every day? Do you ever walk around to somebody in the grocery store, hey, are you from Arizona? No, but you know what? Because you're in a foreign place, you like to be around other like-minded people, people that are like you. You gravitate towards that. That's a big deal. The other one is that we like to be around influencers. People that influence, people that have some sort of prestige. It's one of the reasons why people glamorize movie stars or sports figures. If you think about it, they're no different than anybody else. They're human beings just like everybody else. But yet we as human creatures just go, well, there's someone special, and I want to be in their presence. It draws people, other influencers. And then you get the people that show up because they go, I want to be around people that I want to aspire to be like. Because if you think about it, if you think about this, if you look at someone and go, they're achieving that, and I want to be there one day, and I know it's achievable because they're doing it. You know, that's what happened in real estate. When I first got in the business, my first 2 years in the business, I was broke. I was broke, ready to get out of the business. And then I said to myself, I'm looking at the top producing agents in the company, and I said, really, am I going to give up? I'm better than that person. And not from a conceited standpoint, but just go, what makes them do that type of business where I believe I can't? Well, you know what? That's why events are special, guys. That's why you want to draw these people in, because it motivates them, and you want to encourage them where they go, if you could do it, I could do it. If it could be done, I could do it. When I hear Brent's numbers all the time, I just sit there and they go, I know I could be in that spot too. And we know at eXp Realty, when you're in a group like this, and this is obviously one of 3 groups going on, and you hear the numbers, it's mind-blowing. When people say, why did you close down one of the top brokerages in the country, making a crap load of money? You know why? It's because I said, there's a limit on this. But when you look at eXp, there's no limit. And it can make you the money and set you free that you couldn't probably do anywhere else. And that's the conversation I have with other independent brokerages. Look, we were at the top of the game. There weren't many other independents that do more business. As a matter of fact, there weren't many other brokerages in the country that did more business. I think we were ranked, and this is out of every brokerage out there, about 265 out of thousands and thousands and thousands of brokerages. And I knew how much we were making. They couldn't be making that much more, because the more you grow, the more you take on. So being around people is a big deal at events. Look, I understand, and this is the part I had to get over, when somebody says, oh, you're a virtual company. You guys have no offices. Look, here's what I have to say. We were not created to not be around each other. We were created for this connection. So I had a problem with that until I realized, no, we're saying it wrong. We're saying as a company, it's cloud-based, but it doesn't mean we don't connect. These are important. And you know why they're so important? Why you should be having them, and we'll talk about how do you have these, is because you're showing the industry, look, we may be cloud-based, but we are belly to belly, face to face. So by having these events, they go, oh, I get it. You guys still connect. I always say, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another, and that's a big deal, the energy you can give off. So that's number 2.
Okay, so I'm doing number 3, and it's my favorite. Events inspire. And here's the interesting thing about the event. You don't have to say to yourself, I'm going to create an event, and my purpose is I'm just going to inspire. And so I'm going to take all the burden of inspiration onto me or to Rob, who's putting it together. What's interesting is I heard Jeff say yesterday, I'm re-inspired just by showing up. I have conversations with people. The content of an event, I'm not talking about this one, but it can suck. But I can still be inspired because I talked to 1 or 2 or 3 people that I didn't get to meet before, and I learned from their stories. So what an event does is it changes the atmosphere. We intentionally go somewhere with an expectation, whatever that expectation is. we take time out, most of us, except for Kenny, stay off of our phone, for the most part, because it's important to us to get whatever we're expecting. And so we've changed our own atmosphere, and then we're open to hearing something, meeting somebody, learning something new. And that type of inspiration is one of the most intangible, tangible things about an event. And so you have to leave room for it. It's like what I appreciated so much about the mastermind that we went to recently was we had information. The information was great. I took it and I did something with it. But what we really talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks were the dinners, right? And good wine, right? And the stories about our lives and the sharing about our marriages. And those are the things that happen at events, and you never know what inspiration is going to come from those moments of space and events. So when you're considering events, you have to consider all of these at the same time to leave the room for the things that we've mentioned to occur so that connections can happen. So now we're going to talk about specifically some of the things that you might take home and do.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, darn
Not
it.
yet. Get
Maybe
with the
later.
program.
Go ahead.
We always speak together, but we never share what each
We
other's
never
gonna say.
prepare
So-
together. I prepare mine, he prepares his, and it's a good surprise every
so
time.
here's what I want to talk about right now, the why. The why. Why do people show up? Why do people make big decisions at these events? What motivates people? Here's the thing, we're all in sales. I love sales. When we started our brokerage, we were competing against some of the biggest box brokerages in our area. So 2005, when name recognition of a brokerage was still a big deal, we had Remax up the block, KW. We had Intero coming into town. We had Coldwell Banker, Windmere. And every one of them, this is no BS, especially Intero, came in and said, they met with us and they said, either sell to us or we'll put you out of business. Oh, I love a challenge. I love Brent says, challenge me, prove me, think you're better. But anyway, so we had to get the reason, what was our edge? So we really had to understand sales. And I'm going to share with you the key to all sales. The key to all sales is a chemical thing in our body called dopamine. And when you understand what dopamine does, then you will really understand the motivation of people. And most successful companies, all marketers, understand dopamine. I'm going to give you a for example, because dopamine controls the way you react. It'll motivate you. It'll influence you. So let's take, for example, you walk into a grocery store, a Costco. What do? They have samples out now. See, you get a little bite of this sample and it's a shot of dopamine. They know how to sell. Food, McDonald's, any of them, they know the right combination of salt, sugar, what to put in the food because you get addicted to it through the dopamine. This is sales, lottery. Lottery does it. It does it mentally. It says you could win $1 million. Could you imagine what you could do with $1 million? And it entices you and it gives you that shot of dopamine. You see, sales is all based off of that. The perfume company, why do you think they spray you when you walk in? You ever really sit and think why people do what they do? These are masters at their game. It's all about sales. It's all about spiking your dopamine and go, wow, that smelled good. I want to jump on it.
We have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. So dopamine is a big deal, guys, and it's a big part of what we have to control is to get someone there and you get them that shot of dopamine to react. That's the why. So what is the dopamine in our business at these events? Here's what you do, guys. Don't be mediocre. See, when Angela said, here's what we did, our secret was to go above and beyond. If you ever seen our physical space, we built a 21,000 square foot building when everybody said we were nuts. Don't do it, it's disastrous. We have a full bar cafe, event center, 7,000 square foot patio, a game room. Here's what we knew. They walk in, it's that shot of dopamine. And they go, I want to be here. You see, they don't ask what the fees are. They don't ask anything else. Guys, that's what you have to do at your events. Stop just checking off the box. So Angela's going to tell you quickly a couple of things we're going to be doing that would maybe inspire you.
So we actually, this is no kidding, we bought a house because of eXp. So we want to do house events. We want to blow up what we did with the brokerage to grow our organization. So we bought a house that specifically has like 2 bars. One that's a big commercial bar.
No, the house did not have 2 bars.
We made it. We made the bars. And then huge water features, 9-foot water features, big pergolas, fire, places to sit, a hookah bar. I don't even like hookah. A hookah bar.
A white tiger. No, we didn't get it.
Okay, a little cavapoo. But so literally we built it thinking to ourselves, how can we invite people into our home, make them feel special, feed them, give them drinks, hire a staff so that they feel waited on, so that they will be relaxed enough and open enough to listen to what we have, this real opportunity. We just want to make them so comfortable and so welcome and so feeling so special that they open their ears and say, I'm going to listen to you. You've gone out of your way for me. I will listen to what you have to say.
Guys, you need to go big. Kyle and Daniel were exactly spot on.
Yeah.
They rented this extravagant home. They could have did it anywhere else, but no, you impress people. Guys, stop thinking small-minded. Look to impress people. You know why? Your competition out there sucks. Look what these other brokerages are doing. Heck, there's a brokerage right here in town, one of the biggest brokerages. I'll say the name, West USA Realty. You know their Christmas party?
It's a potluck.
It's a potluck. And you just watch everybody at the Christmas party like this.
I don't want to eat Susie's lasagna.
Our Christmas party, we used to rent out the biggest extravagant halls, live band, DJs, bells and whistles. We tell our agents, bring outside agents, and they would sign up left and right. Guys, it's the dopamine. It's that excitement. You could do that in your lunch and learns. You could do that in your seminars. Add that little twist to it where people go, wow. When you can get somebody to go, wow, you got them. Then they'll hear about your opportunity. It's relationship building. It's exactly what Curtis says. You're not trying to say, hey, we got something different. No, we got community. We care about you. You're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it on a better scale. Leverage your upline, leverage the people, your influencers. Start doing these things, guys. I'm going to leave one more thing. Instead of doing lunch and learns, do dinners. And if you say, well, I don't have a house like yours, go look for a steakhouse that has a back room and cut a deal with them, find some sponsors, and you do dinner explainers where they're getting a full course meal, and now you call them VIP dinners, invite only. You'll get the producers there. They're going to go, you're different. We want to be around you. Guys, God bless you. We thank you all.
You know, the reality is our competition isn't RE/MAX. It's not Keller Williams. It's the other people in this room. You know, this is the biggest competition, is the people that are in this room. Those other brokerages can't compete with us. You know, I have on my business card, it says eXp OG, like that's my official title. The next people I'm going to introduce are very important to me in my business, but I just want to talk a little bit about some history here. So we're still part of probably the largest, fastest growing ma and pa company out there. I know we're corporate, now we're a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ, but this company was started, I was probably we probably had 3 staffers. It was me, Glenn's ex-wife Penny, and my wife, and a couple computer guys and some offshore developers, and that was it. That was the extent of our staff. And it was all hands on deck. We did whatever we could. I was the first president. I was the chief cultural officer. I was the committee chair. I was the education whatever. I was the virtual janitor. I mean, I did whatever it took to get this company off the ground. But now, how many staffers do we have, Stacy? 700 staff, and they're here to help us. I mean, that could be one of the biggest value adds. I know we talk about stock, and we talk about revenue share, and the collaboration, and the international, and all that stuff, but it's like you have a 700-person organization that's here to help you grow your business. And if you're not taking advantage of these people, if you're not taking advantage of this resource, if you're not connecting your organization to this organization, you are missing the boat. Right? Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't try and recreate your brokerage inside of eXp. take advantage of this opportunity. So I want to introduce Stacy Onan, President of eXp Realty, and Sam Rodriguez, VP of Growth. And I want to hear what's going on inside of eXp, because if you don't have your ear inside the cloud office, we have a famous phrase. Does anybody know what it is? Miss a little, miss a lot.
I think I took over the janitor job, officially. Hello again, everyone. Sam and I are going to spend a little bit of time covering where we're headed, what we've been working on, and then just because I know a lot of you have been here for a while, but there's also a lot of faces that are newer. So we want to take just a little bit of time and make sure that you know where to plug in. You know who to reach, how to reach them, and just basically the direction we're heading. But I also want to give Sam some credit here. I know you guys deal with Sam on a really regular basis, but one of the things that from our side on the staff side, where I think Sam just excels so well in helping you guys, Sam has a really strong, I don't think everybody realizes the operational knowledge Sam has, the background he has. He has done such an amazing job at getting the broker staff to want to work with him and to want to help him find those creative solutions. And so that's huge, because you don't always see where growth and operations meet each other and see eye to eye on a regular basis. And Sam has done an incredible job at figuring out how to make both sides happy so that you guys can keep growing and we can keep licenses. So huge shout out to Sam. He really does help you guys.
Thank you. Very nice.
All right. I don't remember what's next. By the way, thanks to Diem and Gretchen for putting all our slides together. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you go. So we did, okay, so people value success and service. When I first came here in 18, we weren't even open in all 50 states. And of course, the very first day I started at 6 a.m., Glenn met me in the world, and I spent probably my first 2 weeks just with Glenn, just figuring out what did we want to do. And for me, my overarching goal has never changed in the 2.5 years. I want to make sure that if Curtis is in Arizona and he's attracting someone in California, and Curtis tells them how amazing his Arizona broker team is, how amazing his staff is, that he gets meetings, that he gets videos, I don't want the person who he attracts in California to call him in 3 weeks and say, well, my brokers didn't call me, my brokers don't reach out, they don't have meetings, they don't have newsletters. So we've really spent the last 2.5 years making sure that there is, as licensing law will allow, that there is that consistent, constant service, and so that when you are attracting across the country, you can serve all of your people in the same manner. So we are going to spend a little time on new business lines. Sam's going to talk a lot about international, some ancillary services we have going on, what's going on in brokerage ops and payment processing. Has been a huge year there, and just our core business.
And our growth, right? Doubling
yes.
agent count year over year, Q3,
Yes.
and beyond.
Commercial. Okay, so we've spent the last, in just under 90 days, we launched this Monday in 14 states. So we are now eXp Commercial. It is a separate brokerage. They're going to talk a lot about it at eXpCon. Do know that because we set it up so fast, whole new entity, whole new everything, I lovingly call our first version duct tape and popsicle sticks, but it works, it's functional, you can track to it. We did meet this week. We're starting our second half of it so that the next phase will roll out. We should have, I would say within about a week, we should probably have another 15 to 20 states open. So the goal really is to get all 51 states open as quick as we can. So just hang in there with that. Keep watching the changes for it. They've got their CoStar, their LoopNet. It's a true commercial brokerage. It's going to be, you guys will be able to attract into it. We'll get a bunch of stuff out for it. The fees are slightly different, as you can see, but there is a lot of difference in commercial. They don't have our MLSs, they don't have any of that, so we needed to get them CoStar, LoopNet, all of that good stuff. Errors and omissions different. Eventually, agents will be able to be in both brokerages in the states where your license allows it. Right now, our duct tape and popsicle sticks version, you cannot do that. There's a lot of tech lift behind that to make sure that you guys rev share well and that all of that works. So every time we talk to Steve about it, he looks at us a little cross-eyed, but he's working it out. So just give us a couple more months on that second phase. And that would be one where I would say when we talk about plugging in, keep watching the news for that, because we will keep updating where we're at. And anytime you have questions, James, Huang, and then Stephanie Gillison, and then always myself. You can reach out to any of the three of us anytime you have questions on commercial, and we'll be able to get you answered on where you guys are at there. So there's the list that's open right now. If the Arizona Department of Real Estate agrees with us, we'll be open there by next week, and I will be your lovely Arizona broker for a while, unless Chuck or Angela want to come take it over.
Congratulations.
Oh, yes. So again, and you're going to see that in a lot of the opening states. You'll have some crossover brokers from the realty to the commercial, but as time goes on and we continue to grow, we'll be able to attract those really high quality commercial brokers that we want. We figured we were better to start off using what we had, hire slow, we're going to get the right people in. So hang in with us there. Go for it.
So international. So you guys have heard we've been going overseas, right? Pretty cool, exciting stuff. Yes, we can definitely clap for that. Michael Valdez, addition to the team, has made a huge difference. I mean, just this year alone, in the short time, I mean, Michael's not even been here maybe
it feels
6
longer.
months?
Yeah, I don't know.
It does feel longer.
He's moves at the speed of lightning.
So Michael brought the experience, right? All the many years at Realogy, having launched, I think it was a part of over 100 or so countries over there, under the different Realogy brands. And in such a very short period of time, not only joining eXp, but launching South Africa. We are very close to launching India. And by the year's end, we still have Mexico, Portugal, and France still ready to go. So a lot of really great stuff taking place there. So that is continued opportunity. Many of you in this room have already reached out. Just a side note, I will say I am no longer working in the international team. So feel free to reach out directly to Michael and team. The other thing that I would direct you to, if you haven't yet visited, I don't think we have it on the slide here, expglobal.net. Make note of that website. It's a very important website for you to get to know, because any prospects that you have for these upcoming countries, also any other prospects for any other country that hasn't yet been announced, there is a contact information form that you can complete or they can complete, and that will get the introduction started. Our international team will take a look at that, review it, and then reach out when they are ready. So definitely get to know the website, and feel free to share that with any of your prospects. Let's see. Stacey, you want to talk about it says people there, talking about some of the different brokers that have been added and the growth taking place in international?
Yeah, you know, Michael, so he's been borrowing Gretchen for quite a time because he's moving at such light speed. And so they've brought in a lovely lady named Kelly. You guys can absolutely reach out to Megan Kelly as well. And they are getting the broker staff. So I think most of that will be listed on the expglobal.net, the whole list of names. So just pay attention to those, and you can reach out to those brokers the same as you'd reach out to your state brokers. So just keep an eye out for them. All right, this one I'm excited about. So I probably 30% of you in the room have reached out to me about REO over the last couple years in some form or another. It's a big thing to tackle because we are corporately owned, which actually causes issues in the REO world when you're trying to go country. So we have not been trying to back burner anybody, but we definitely just needed to make sure we had the right person. And I think I've already got a couple people in the room that are fans of the lady that I hired. We have a wonderful woman named Dawn Conciatori. She started 2 weeks ago now. She comes with an amazing REO, relo, affinity, referral, short sale background. So she's really going to round all that out for us. Right now, she's going to focus on getting REO and relo going first. If you are a relo or an REO person, definitely reach out to her. What she's been doing her first 2 weeks, she's made it through almost every single state broker, assessing where their state is at now, which agents in their state do REO, how much they're doing, which providers they're working for, and she's going to come back to us probably, give her about a month or so, but she's going to come back with a solid plan to move through all these, and she's doing it by a combination of agent work groups and broker work groups. So if you are interested in REO, her name is Dawn Conciatori, and if you forget that, you can always reach out to me, and I will absolutely hook you up with her, but it's going to be really, really good. I'm excited for it. Just give it a little bit of time, and we will be on the roll. This is another one I'm super excited about. There's a lady that I hired about a year ago. Her name is Amelie Quiros. She runs payment processing for me. What she has been able to do in the last year in just really building that department up and turning it around, even through, we had some layoffs, and at the same time, you guys decided to sell more than ever. And she's just done an incredible job at building that department up. And at the last brokerage that she and I happened to work at together, we launched a transaction coordination division there. So we are going to launch an in-house transaction coordination division that will give you guys the ability to hire out in, I think it's 3 different packages we have at the end of the day for it. It will be very reasonably priced. I believe the full service is right around $250 a file. We're going to have a mix of licensed TCs, unlicensed TCs. It'll flow right through your eXp. There's a lot of really cool benefits for it. It helps you guys out. It helps the brokerage out. It helps files out. It gets agents paid faster. So that should probably be launching by year end. A gentleman named Seth Sigler is building out an incredible platform for it. Really user-friendly. It'll be one that your clients would actually be able to log into and see everything themselves. So hold tight for that. That should be launched by the end of the year as well. Lots of different services. By the time you get to the bronze, you can basically pick some a la carte services. So just keep looking for it. They'll get brochures out, they'll get news out, and they'll get the programs launched. And this is one where I felt I really wanted you guys to know, I know there's a time and a place when a file gets stuck, a payment doesn't go through, you've got a question, and we have built a really good team of managers in that department, so I wanted to make sure you guys had the opportunity to take a picture of who you should be reaching out to. I know that I think recently Amelie did a good job for Jeff. She's been helping him out get some stuff straightened out. That department really does want to hear from you, and they want to help you. So if you're struggling on something, reach out to them. And then Sam, if you go one more, this is going to get you really in depth. This is a really good map to take and to screenshot and to keep, and I'll get out of the way. What they've been doing is...
It's true.
Just shows how short I am when you're in a picture that far. So what she's been doing is she's been really working to bring up different sections in there, getting payment processors that are just used to paying mega teams, that know the ins and outs, know what they need. She's got ones that are getting ready to just start tackling. I am fully aware that our rental and referral process needs some serious work. That is definitely one that they're getting ready to tackle. But make sure you do know who to reach out, because if you do struggle, I think sometimes you guys are actually just trying to be nice and you wait too long to reach out. They really want to hear from you right away. When you're having a struggle, that's absolutely what they're there for. Yes? Can I read what? Oh, yeah. So you've got Brandy Welch, Lindsey Graham. In fact, you know what, Angela, remind me and I'll send you the slides. And I'll send the map to anyone. Just message me and I'll absolutely send you the map. Caitlin Shepard, Kristen Grenewald, Amy Lemna, Carly Fink-Maddox, Sarah Mann, Shelley DeMoss, and Dawn Powell. Very skilled people. Our payment processing is actually, strangely enough, more complicated being across the country with everything going to lockboxes. But they've really put a lot of fixes in. We've got some fixes getting ready to come out around the capping of problems and things like that, because you guys are selling so fast that files come in and out in the wrong direction. So hang in there with them, but do pay attention to who to reach. Same thing goes for brokerage ops. I wanted to make sure, we've really worked over the last year to get your states to work like a team. Like you've probably noticed, I know a couple of you were talking about it last night, like Cornelius was talking about it, like going into the state office, the goal is that there will always be staffers in there to help you. So that really can be your perfect first place to go. Just put your avatar into the world. Do pay attention to their workplace pages. I know I've heard from a couple agents, they're not always quite sure who to contact. On the top of every state workplace page, we've had them list all the staffers in their state. So you can absolutely do that. And then don't forget too, that like payment processing, I know everybody knows their brokers are available on the weekend, but we have 4 hours of payment processing help every Saturday morning. So, because they know that with realtors, you guys are out, you're selling, you're moving, between 8 and 5 is not always the time when you can call. So we've got, 8 to 8, Monday through Friday, and then 4 hours on Saturday. And so anything you guys need in there. And we just gave you a little cheat sheet for who you've got in there. As the states continue to grow, you're going to see more and more managing brokers. Your designated managing broker is always going to be that, I always call it the designated target. It's the person the state's going to come after if something happens. But the rest of those brokers in the state, they're hired because they're just as knowledgeable as the main broker, and they're there to provide that support. So sometimes what will happen is, if you think of, I'm a broker, so I'm picking on myself here. If you think of the normal broker personality, we're either normally compliance or we're people. You don't always find a broker that can absolutely run both ends of that spectrum. So that's one of those things that I want you guys to really notice in your states, is if Sam and I were in a state, we're probably not quite the same personality type. And so pay attention to that and go towards the broker that works for your style. That's part of the reason we hire different styles in each state, because you guys are no more similar than Sam and I are. So we want to make sure you've got that. So pay attention to who all your brokers are. If you reach out to one and they happen to be busy that day, don't feel bad. Reach out to the second. That's what they're absolutely there for. You can go next. Again, this is another good one to grab because Stephanie Gillison, a lot of you may have known her as the Kentucky broker for years. She's got an incredible wealth of knowledge in commercial. So brought her over to the Director of Commercial Operations. She will be able to answer at a moment's notice everywhere we're at on that. You've got directors that are under Jim Newth. As you guys know, I think most of you know Jim. He's an awesome guy. Good dad jokes, but you know, right under Jim, you've got Parker and Holly. So if you're struggling with something in your state, you're not getting the answers you need, or you just feel like maybe something's off in the answer, Parker covers the east half of the country, Holly covers the west half, you've got Jim, and then I think most of you know at the end of the day, you've got me on Workplace as well. So wanted to make sure everybody knew where to reach out. So we can go ahead and go skip on.
So now we're going to talk about some growth. I mean, lots of really great stuff and Brokerage Ops. I mean, a round of applause for Stacy and her team, because you guys do, I mean, you guys are the backbone, right? And we've seen the drastic, I mean, you were just telling me the increases in NPS for payment processing. I mean, you guys are out there selling real estate, so much better, right? I know there's some hot topics at times,
there's still
right?
work to do, but it's come a long way.
But keeps getting better and better. So, Kyle, hopefully you took a screenshot of the map, so you don't need to text me every time on payment processing. Just kidding. You can copy on an email if you want. But growth updates. So we do have some upcoming changes that are actually taking place here in the very near future, and I say very near. I think starting next week and the week after. Jordan Hill. So some of you probably know Jordan. Jordan's been in our expert care department. She's been here for over 2 years. She's actually going to be joining our growth team, working closely with Chris Bear and I. So she will be your new, coming soon to be your new point of contact when you need an appointment with Chris or I. So she'll be our new right-hand gal. So stay tuned for her moving into the department, I think starting training next week. And just also a quick reminder too, a lot of our departments work by region. Chris and I happen to be East Coast, West Coast, but we aren't only available for you in those regions. So reach out to either one of us. If you got somebody in the West, you know, Chris can also help. Obviously, there's a time difference there too, and vice versa. So there isn't one specific person. I know we've had a lot of questions about who do I go to for Central, because we used to have somebody for Central. Again, same thing. Chris, myself, Dave is also available. I know Dave is willing to take some appointments as well. And so, you know, all of us, you know, we do prefer that you guys are still doing, and a lot of you guys are really good about this anyway, doing a lot of that legwork. They already know enough about eXp by the time they get to us. And so that we're here to help, really to help get that prospect, get that awesome agent, that team, that brokerage across the finish line. And, you know, with that, also giving us a heads up, please. I know, I mean, people like Kenny, right? I mean, Kenny, you gave me your entire Trello board. It's actually awesome. Again, we're not doing anything with it, right? I don't go into your Trello board and call you and say, hey, what's going on over here, right? Or I'm not calling your people. But it's very, very helpful actually for a couple different reasons here. It gives us the insight, the heads up for brokerage ops, payment processing, for hiring, for onboarding, I mean, every department has an effect on, again, the growth, the massive growth that you guys are out there talking to other great agents. So giving us a heads up. even if it's
that's a
early.
good point, because if you guys think of it that way, we want to make sure we're ready for you. And when you guys are talking about bringing over an 80-person, 100-person, 900-person brokerage, we let Sam and them know as early as you can, because then he'll work with the broker team. And that way, when you bring them over, we make sure we've staffed up and so that we can get that covered. And Sam and his team has done a really good job at figuring out a way to work with brokerage ops so that we can get the staffing you need when you're bringing them in.
Yeah, the goal is to make it as seamless as possible. Unfortunately, some of you have had teams or brokerages that you've introduced that we didn't know about until they were maybe in onboarding. Maybe some of them were already on board. But again, the idea is as seamless as possible. And the way we can best do that is with a game plan, working side by side to you, right? We're not here to take the whole thing away from you. Stay involved, stay in the conversations. We put together a game plan and set those expectations. So please, 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 giving us a heads up, especially teams and brokerages, and top producing agents too, individuals, for marketing purposes, right? We've got eXp Life. Let's do a PR article. And again, it helps with creating that experience on the front end as well. Brokerage integration. I think all of you know, but just in case, I know some of you are newer to eXp, and that's how you ended up here because you just brought your team or brokerage over. So welcome and congrats for coming to this event. Brokerage integration team. This is a team, Corey Dahl, Megan Becerra. This is all they do. They work with brokerages and helping them transition. So after we've had the discussion, after you had the discussion, after you've introduced them to us, we can then do what we call a warm handoff to that brokerage integration team. Chuck and Angela, I know you guys got to work very closely with Megan and Corey, and thank you. I know you've sung their praises. We do too. They've been awesome. But that's all they do, guys. That they work with broker owners in transitioning, and that could be a broker owner of a couple agents. It could be a brokerage owner. Chuck and Angela, you guys had 864 agents I think at the time, and so we help with the transition and continue to stay in constant contact. Angela, I think you said you still message Corey constantly, right? That's what they're there for, to be a resource. In the same manner, one of the other changes that's going to be taking place is I think a lot of you know Diem, and Diem checked you in at the door. So thanks, Diem, for lending the hand and being my right hand for not only all these years at eXp, but even before eXp when I was independent. And yes, a round of applause, please. So Diem is so good at her job that we're actually moving her to become the team integration specialist for the entire Western U.S. So we're bringing back an iteration of team services. So some of you who were here before, right? You remember team services? It was a great department. This is kind of a part of team services for transition. Sue Horsham, if you know Sue, she's in Texas. So she was very involved, working closely with us even a couple of years ago in a very similar role. She'll be handling the central states. And as you see on the screen, I think it says on there, right? Handled TBD for East. So we haven't quite located that individual, or at least not made the transition.
So if you want a job.
So let us know if you know somebody as well. We're always looking for talent. So I think what that tells you is opportunity. Opportunity exists. Right now, I'm actually going to jump ahead to the second portion. 79 brokerages have moved over to eXp year to date that we know of.
That's true.
So there are others that, again, may have moved over that we didn't get the chance to work closely with the sponsor. But 79 brokerages, and again, these were not small brokerages, right? I mean, we look at Chuck and Angela as the biggest thus far. I know we have another big one in process right now as we speak, 377 agents in Florida. We talk about telling stories. I tell Chuck and Angela's story every single day when I talk to a broker owner. They don't know it. Their ears are probably ringing all day long. But that's a lot. And so that tells you, again, opportunity for broker owners. Right, Brent? I mean, they're everywhere. There's mom and pops left and right. I could probably leave the hotel here, and we could drive down the street and find tons of mom and pops here. We're also finding a ton of activity with franchise, which can be a touchy subject. That doesn't mean that we can't talk to them, but again, when it comes to franchise owners, that would be a C21, a Remax, a Keller Williams, some Coldwell Banker offices. Those, definitely talk to us so we can help you with some of the language of what to say, what not to say because of tortious interference. We can't interfere with an existing franchise agreement. But why I bring that up is because there's tons of those taking place. We've seen, again, even here in Arizona, we've seen many franchises make the switch over before their agreement expired. So it's not that it can't be done, but it's not without our involvement. We're seeing a lot of, all of a sudden, C21 offices. We've had a recent new one in Texas. I think she was 20 plus years, C21. 35 agent mega team, all under the C21 umbrella. She just made her move over. So again, yes, it's exciting stuff. I mean, we talk about mega. I think she's doing about 300 transactions a year. And we're seeing more and more of those taking place. So be that resource, just keep a good heartbeat in your markets and talking to other people. Recruiting their agents away is one of the best ways to do it, right? We've seen that happen many times. Their top agent sees eXp, makes a move over, and then they go back and tell their broker, right? That's another strategy. But broker opportunities are, abound. Here we are with COVID-19, and many of these brokerages still haven't opened their doors to their office. I spent a few days out in Orange County, California, 2 weeks ago. I didn't know that Coldwell Banker over there it's been closed up. Agents pop in, kind of as needed, but it's not actually open for business. Companies like that are paying giant brick and mortar overhead costs at eXp. Fortunate enough, we don't have any of that. So, yeah. So thanks to Glenn and this model, right, we're not stuck. We're not stuck with trying to figure out what to do, how to get out of leases, how to get, paying for copy machines that aren't being used. So they're definitely brokerage opportunity. Reach out to us and let us know how we can help. In September and in October were the 2 biggest months in the history of eXp for agents added. I mean, that's you guys. I remember just a short few years ago, right? We used to announce every single agent. You guys remember that? Brian, right? And Vicky and Jason would kind of botch everybody's names while announcing everybody, and that would probably take 10, 15 minutes of the meeting. We were bringing on about 100 a week or so. We were pumped. Now we're bringing in 500, 600, 700 a week. So giant numbers, and again, kudos to all of you. Again, as we sprint toward the goal of 42,000. You guys knew about the goal of 42,000, right? So we're sprinting to this event, and now we're going to make a mad dash for our 42,000 by the year end. So who's with us? So 42,000, here we come. Let us know how we can help and be a resource to all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
There you go. It's not my time to be up here, but I had to come up and just say that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was so good. We videotaped this. We're going to drop the slides in so you can actually, while they're talking, you'll do close-ups. We're doing a mastermind in Lake Tahoe. We told you about it, like next weekend, a week from this weekend, and we'll be taking 30 minutes and watching that in detail. That was just like pure gold. Stacy, Sam, best you have ever. That was a home A++. I just want to say thank you. Take it away.
True pros. So, we get asked a lot of time, what is eXp? What does it mean? What is it in a nutshell? You hear that a lot. Many years ago, I heard Glenn say, eXp is a personal improvement company disguised as a brokerage. I almost feel like it does our company a disservice just to call it another real estate company, right? I mean, we're so much more than that. I mean, we're like a, stock company, IPO meets a personal improvement, meets a wealth development company. But I want to introduce somebody who I'm convinced none of us would even be in this room today if it wasn't for her. She was our first state broker in Arizona, first female broker in the history of eXp. And by the way, even though we were the second state to launch, we were really the engine that carried this company for many years. Arizona was always the most productive. We were the fastest growing. even though we launched out of Washington State first, and then only a short month later we launched in Arizona. But we would not have been able to do it without Suzanne Fuquay. And I want to bring Suzanne up. She's going to talk about personal development. But I just love this woman with all my heart. She's been a mentor to me. She's near and dear. She's picked my kids up from the airport when they were sick, and she's just an amazing woman, and she's a rock star, and she's one of the fiercest fighters you'll ever meet. So, Suzanne.
Hi there. You're so dear. I don't know if I know how to work that, but I don't know whose organization Steve Cowan is in. He's in Dallas, Texas. But I grew up with Steve. He is in the hospital at Baylor, and he's on a respirator. He has COVID. He is an eXp agent here. And, you know, it just makes me so sad. But he is in my age group. We don't talk about that, but the older people, we really are, we just have to think about it, and everybody's been careful. Let's just all keep being careful and get down the road. And remember, not all of us are in our 40s or 50s or even 60s. I mean, some of us are getting up there, and we really need to be conscientious, you know, of that. But Steve, I know will make it, but Steve Cowan in Texas, Dallas, great guy. And he and I, as kids, we went to St. Michael's and All Angels Church. And they called it, and we call it in Dallas, St. Minks and All Cadillacs. And it really is a description of what that church was all about. I have to say, I was raised in that ridiculous environment. And I have to tell on myself, because really when I met Brian and Glenn, they thought, what planet did this girl get off of? And I was a little bit different because I came from a different place. I came from Camelot. And as a kid, we had an upstairs maid and a downstairs maid and a cook, of course. And I was telling Brian this as he's talking about his story of dragging his, you know, his dad's a retired hippie, and he's, you know, living in a camper and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah. And I went to a girls' school in Mississippi, and I had to go there because Gove Park by the Sea, I love the name. And I could take my horse. And you're not going to go to school in high school if you can't have your horse. And then I went to Baylor University because it was either tradition or a Baptist, and it was tradition because my dad was a doctor. Didn't make his money, and he made his. My dad's patient gave him a little tip. It was called the Alaskan Pipeline. So at that time, that really helped things. Mother was very happy and had just this little fabulous little life. And anyway, I went to Baylor, and I thought, well, what can I do now to finish off my life, to launch my life? And I went through Baylor in 2 years, and I'm real proud of that. Actually, that was an accomplishment. I broke the record. It's never been broken since, and I graduated with honors. So at least I had something going for me, and I felt real good about myself that wasn't just everything in life. The cherry on top of the whipped cream was, you all, I married myself a doctor. And I had arrived into the world of Dallas, Texas, and I was Miss Socialite, and I had my life made in the shade. And I was going to be just there and doing my thing the rest of my life. Well, wrong. It doesn't work that way. And about, fast forward, 5 years about 5 years or so, this doctor he was okay, but he wasn't that great. But, you know, we never say anything about it. We just kind of sweep it on the rug. And I was going on, of course, a private yacht. This man owned the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's a football team. And his kids invited us to go on this yacht in the Caribbean, right? I don't know where Brent's not here. Yeah. And so, I was pregnant, and my doctor said, no, Suzanne, you can't go. Well, I knew if I didn't go, I just knew my husband was going to take his mistress. So I went on and went. That's just how you did it in those days. And I went, and I was playing tennis at Cat Key. Is that Cat? Does anybody know? Anyway, somewhere over there in the Bahamas. And I fell, and I ended up in Baylor Hospital, where Steve is. Poor Steve. And my life started to change. And I was pregnant with Allison, my one and only child, and they said, you know, you're really got in trouble, and you're going to have to sit there for 5 months with your legs crossed. You can't walk. That's fine. The next day they came in, they said, well, I'm in the hospital, right? My dad's a doctor there, right? Well, we have to tell you something. Your dad has shot and killed himself. And I was just like stunned, but don't worry, we're going to sedate you. You'll be fine. That afternoon, they came in and said, well, we've got some more news for you. We're so sorry, but your grandfather fell over in the shower with a heart attack and died. So you'll be going to a double funeral, and we'll be taking you in a wheelchair because you can't walk for 4 or 5 months. But we have to tell you one more thing. By the way, your husband has left you. He has moved in with a mistress. So there I was, and it was like, are you friggin' kidding me? Is this, what it's all about, Alfie? I was like, I can't believe this has happened. So it did happen. Things went south, but I discovered about, during that 8-year period before I moved to Santa Fe that I could do something, and no one ever taught me. They never talked about it because it was really kind of not the thing to talk about. But guess what? I don't have to marry money. I could actually make it. I could make money, and I'll do it. I'll go to real estate school, and I did. And I went to real estate school, and it was the most exciting thing in the whole wide world. I didn't know what to do when I got my first commission check, and I decided to buy a bunch of high heels. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Ended up moving to Santa Fe, New Mexico, taking my daughter, and I started my own real estate company. And it was called Town and Ranch, and we sold ranches in Southern California, Colorado, and in New Mexico. And it was great fun. And a few years later, Allison was getting ready to go to college, and I decided maybe it's time I can get remarried again, and I want to move to a big city where I can meet a nice man. I mean, still have this same mind, set that you never get rid of. But I sold my company out to another spoiled, rotten brat who has a trust fund baby from Dallas, and he ended up being buying and taking my company to Prudential. And then it became a Prudential, then it became a Keller Williams. But I had 90 agents and had a great company. It was really fun. Moved to Phoenix, and I was here a few years, met my sweetheart. Met Jerry. And then Jerry got Lou Body's Parkinson's. And it's so sad. But anyway, we were out of money, and things were going to crash again. And having experienced the first crash, it was not hard to think about experiencing another crash because I knew things could get really bad. And I got in the car that day, and I was driving around, and I didn't even know what I was doing. And I came upon a Home Smart, and it wasn't in my area. It was a little bit north. And I didn't even know there was a Home Smart there. And I walked in, and I said, well, no one knows me really, and I won't be embarrassed. And I walked in, and I told the lady at the desk, I said, look, I was a broker in Texas, and I was a broker in New Mexico, and I had my own company. I do not have it in me to start a third real estate company in Arizona, but I am a broker here, got past it. But I just don't want to sell. I just can't do it. And I'm really not good on the computer, but there's got to be somebody that needs an assistant or something here. And she said, honey, there's this guy named Brian Colhane, and he is in the conference room, and he's hiring agents. So I walked in there, and sweet Brian, he said, do you know about how to handle lead? Did you say lead generation at the time? Lead generation. I didn't know what in the hell he was talking about. I said, absolutely, I can do lead generation. And so he called up Glenn. He was all excited. So we got one, and then he said, well, and you have your license here? I am a broker here, because you know how I pride myself on education. And I'm a broker in New Mexico, and I'm an agent in Texas. So, okay, we'll hire you. So anyway, it turned out pretty well. We got some really quick deals, and Glenn was so brilliant at the time. How many leads were we generating? Yeah, so it wasn't hard. I was making a lot of money because there were like 3 of us. So it was really fun. And we just kept it going. And then Glenn and Brian called me, and said, we need a broker. And I opened up Arizona, and then I was the qualifying broker for New Mexico as well. I forget what I have done and what I have been. I have had every hat at eXp on. I've been the manager of this office, the broker of that state, and it has been great fun. It's been really a run. But I would like you all to know in this room, if you want to know anything about Brian Culhane, Jim Newth, Penny Sanford, Glenn Sanford, I can tell you everything about them. I know where all the skeletons are, and if you want to know anything, just see me afterwards. I'll be happy to fill you in. And it's been a ride. It's been a total cool ride. So to this, I kind of laughed when they said, personal, where's my little clicker here? They said, Brian, I don't know if I know how to work this. Oh, what's your personal development plan? Well, you all, that really was my personal development plan. Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. I think I figured it out. Thank you. Okay, so it is important to me that I spend, I had it upside down. Okay, thank you. It is important to me that I spend my days on this earth wisely. I don't want to squander the freedom that I've received. I want to use it to help more realtors find their freedom. And I really believe that's my mission statement for the rest of my life. I have found freedom through eXp. I do not have to be in this room today, and thank God, Brian or Glenn, no one's ever said to me, or Stacy, that you've aged out, Suzanne, you need to leave. You know, we don't take you at your age. You've done your thing. You've made your money. Get out of here. They don't let me do that. They let me do my little fluffy listings. I'm listing a 6.6 in Paradise Valley, January 1st. Working, I'm real excited. Sold a 5.4 there last year. Double ended a 2.5. I like the $1 million range. And it's just, I'm just a lucky girl that way. And that is mindset. That is just, I deserve that. That's the way I want to do it. I like dealing with rich people. I grew up a rich person. I've been poor as Jacob's chicken as an adult, and I've had my knocks, but I understand that, and I love working that. So they humor me. They let me do my thing. I just started recruiting about 3 years ago. I didn't know much about that because, quite frankly, I'll never forget, and I will tell you this about Glenn. I said, Glenn, do we recruit one next to each other? I think they call it wide. We didn't call it anything at the time because we didn't know. Or do we put them one and then put one under that one and one under that one, remember? And we were like, and I think Glenn said, I think you stack them one under the other, We did not even know how to do this thing at the very beginning. It was just, we've grown into it, and talk about bringing you along slowly. But anyway, so now, okay, my personal development plan, what I wanted to talk about on when you're talking to other people, and I have found out, because my little organization, I think in all, over the years, I've recruited 76 frontliners, and I have 40 now. And I think over a 10-year stretch, I joined Glenn and Brian 13 years ago, but we started the company 11 years ago. So over 11 years ago, it's a good thing for y'all to be mindful that out of 76, 11 years is a long time. I have 40 in there working, and I've had to bring them in, but I've got 40 going there, and many, several hundred in my group, getting close to 1,000 finally. But I think to embrace empathy is so important, and I just want to talk about that be aware of the other person, of their feelings, because it'll give you more perspective, attitude, and thinking on your own if you really try to relate to the person you're talking to. And I know it takes a lot of courage to step out of your comfort zone, and we're all having to do that. The challenges, even when you don't know exactly what the outcome will be. But, I don't care anymore. I call. They can say no. It just doesn't bother me. Next, listen actively. That's real important. Let's not be thinking all the time about the next thing we're going to say. Let's hear what they have to say. They have a story. They are there for a reason, and it's not comfortable for them. They're sitting there going, Holy Mary, I got to get out of this company where I am. Is this the right one? I'm embarrassed to be here. I don't want them to know I'm really desperate, you know. And then make fear your friend. And I've learned in life that there is no us and them. There's just us, people like us. And I'll just hit a couple of these. I only have a few more minutes, but Brent Gove is so funny. Improve your body language. He's out like this. Everybody, you know, he's so perfect example of so many things with this company. Yeah, to make you feel warm and fuzzy, and getting along with others is real important. Getting along with yourself, that's important too. Let's make sure that we feel good and confident, and that we're not having that little person talking in our head all the time and beating us down. And stop procrastinating. People think that's a character defect. I got news for you. It's a habit. And that habit can be broken 100%. Procrastination is the worst habit. And if you do any procrastination, if you snooze, you lose. And I really believe that. And for me, I wake up early, and I think every successful person that I've ever known does wake up early. I do things, I take a drive. Every morning I go to Dutch Brothers and get a tea. When I get bored, I used to do McDonald's, and it's $1. It's great tea. But I've moved up to Dutch Brothers lately. It's like velvet. But I drive around, and I kind of get centered, and I live at the Biltmore, and I am a superficial girl. I want to look at the flowers and the plants and the people and the guards and the gates and la-di-da and la-di-da. And then I come home, and I sit down at my desk, and I work. And be more proactive. I just think that no one's going to light a fire under you but you. Coming to these things are wonderful. And I think it's great, and it helps. But by the end of the day, it's just that self-discipline. Master the art of conflict resolution. Let's just get over it. You know, let's don't act like a 10-year-old. Let's put on our big boy pants and our big girl panties. You know, let's get it and get over it. You know, let it go. Let go of the past. They use this in AA and all the 12 steps, and they really mean it. Nothing is more important than the precious present. I could sit here and poor me, listen to all the things that happened to me. No, it wasn't the greatest, but you know what? Another one of those things. Next, let's move on. You know, let's stay in the present. Podcast, I am like a YouTube junkie. Now, I will tell you, I love them. I love anything about them. Every night I listen. I have my favorite, Dr. John Campbell, and I listen to him talk about COVID all over the world. I've been doing it ever since for the last 6 months. And then I listen to a news podcast. Won't say which one, but I catch up on what's going on. And then this morning, I did not sleep 1 week last night because I was doing these slides like at midnight, and I got my bridge app. I played 36 games of bridge until 4:35 this morning. Then I called Dallas, my sister, who's with eXp, and I said, "Are you awake?" She said, "Well, it's 5:30. What do you think?" I said, "I don't know." I was at my daughter's, who is also with eXp. She left Sotheby's. She was raised a little fluff, you know how we do, and she was like, I'm over it, that luxury thing. And she's going to be my co-lister on my $6.6 million listing. And, you know, Allison's just like, "Mother, why did it take me so long?" And she's been with us like 3 years now. But anyway, I went over there, picked up my granddaughter, took her to school, and then I finally came here. So I got things done, but I love to read, and Glenn Sanford reads and reads and reads and reads and reads. He always, if you want to know what book to read, he should be like the head of the book club. I mean, he has a book. You'll say something, and he'll say, "Chris Nevada, I have a book for you. I know exactly, have you read so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so? You should read that right now." And he really has his stuff together. That's real important. And ignore your limitations. Truly, I mean, look at me. You think anybody has limitations? I didn't even know the word work meant until I was 30. And so I don't speak really I get my words kind of mixed up a little bit. And, but I know I have limitations, and I get more. I didn't know I had limitations when I moved my couch the other day. I killed my back. I'm barely walking. But make better decisions, because the decisions you make today and the decisions you make ever it's your life. It's like the decision to do what you do today. I wrote this down, and I got 30 more seconds. Let me just see what I said, because it was so profound. I thought it sounded really good. Oh, make a habit of it. The decisions that you make determines the life you will eventually lead. Better decisions, a better life. So that's something you can kind of pass on when you're recruiting these people. Better decision, a better life, and work on your mindset. And I think your growth, not broke, it's growth mindset. And again, Brent went over this yesterday. Attitude is what it defines you. It is what you are. A positive mental attitude can move mountains for you. And it helps you achieve what you want from life. And having one that's, I've been around, I'm at the very peak of my career. I've got some wisdom. I have some years behind me, but I'm here to say that, your attitude does achieve what you want from life. That's get you there. And I love Brian. Brian gave me something that I really needed. He gave me dignity back. He gave me respect, and I love him for that. Thanks, everybody. Oh, just love him.
Hey.
He was terrible. He was terrible when he was on drugs.
Yeah, I got a little mean. But listen, this is the truth. Suzanne, how many times have you asked me, is this thing going to work? Probably 1,000 times. She might even ask me like a week ago, Suzanne, is this thing going to work?
I hope so.
It's going to work. It's going to work.
And I did forget to say another thing I'm very proud of and excited, because Brian gave me money, and Glenn said he could rake up, $500? I went back in the very, very beginning. Remember when we were all out of money? And I found this agent who had conversion KV Core. So I brought, the guys funded me, put me on a plane, sent me to San Antonio, and I brought KV Core to the company. Yeah. And so I got stock from Glenn. Gave me stock for that.
Suzanne, you've brought a lot to this company, and I just can't thank you enough for that. So thank you so much. And it's funny. I was on Glenn's yacht, his last yacht, and again, we weren't born on third base. We didn't have any investment money, very little, maybe a couple 10 grand here from a friend or family in the early years, but. I was kind of picking his brain, after our ship sort of came in, so to speak, and I was like, what if Zillow starts a real estate company? What if Google gets in? What if like private property rights go away? What happens, Glenn? Like, tell me it's going to be okay. And he says, Brian, if, S hits the fan and it all goes to pot, he says, the new capital and the new economy will be the people that you know and the people that know you. And Brian Carruthers, who's another coach and mentor of mine, wrote the book, Building an Empire. He says, your network is your net worth. And I just got to say, this company is like, this is my fortune. The people in this room, the people that make up this company, that's the real value of being a part of eXp. It's like a success think tank, right? Just surrounding yourself. What do they say? You're the sum total of the 6 people that you hang out with the most. Well, what about being the sum total of the 40,000 people that you hang out with the most, right? So the next person I'm going to introduce is actually a very good friend of mine. I met him, I don't know, when did we meet, Bobby? 3 years ago at a conference. We just locked eyes across the room, and we started coming and moving towards each other and just gave each other a big hug. And we've been having a bromance ever since. But literally one of the best dudes in this company, one of my best buddies. And every time I see him, he just puts a big giant smile on my face, Bobby Martin.
All right, we've been sitting too long. Everybody up, let's go. Come on, everybody up. Let's shake it up. Bounce around a little bit. All right, we are going to be talking about community, which I don't know about Brent. I don't know if you knew this, but this is by far the best core value out of all of them. Put them all together, and you can't beat community, because this company is not the same without the community, all right? I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community, and so I'm going to attempt to tell you my story of eXp, how I got here, the leading up to it, everything, okay? So who here is into football? Raise your hand if you like football. Actually, hold on one second. Let me get this here. This will make more sense. There we go. Talking about tribes. So who raised their hand for football? Who's your favorite team? I saw it, somebody else. A real team. Go ahead, Brent. All right, 49ers. Why do you like the 49ers? Why do you like the 49ers? Okay. Do you enjoy watching the games with other 49er fans, or do you prefer to go hang out with the Seahawks fans? And we all do. I'm a Patriots fan, so everybody hates the Seahawks. All right. So who in the room used to be at KW? All right. So back there, did you bleed the red? Did you drink the Kool-Aid? All right, I was there for 7 years. I almost did. There was something missing for me. Honestly, it was a community. It felt fake to me. It felt like and maybe it was because I got there a little late. I was about, I don't know, like 100,000 agents when I got there, something like that. So it could have been that, but it felt fake to me. So let's see here. So as you can see, tribe is everything. You got to be around people that you love. All you got to do is go to Facebook and you look at some of the rooms in the Facebook groups. Tell me about your brokerage, why you love, all this stuff, right? And what do you see? You see everybody raising their hand. I love KW. I love eXp. All these things, right? So I think it's really, really important to take that when you're recruiting or attracting. You got to know your audience. Okay, so if you walk up to a KW guy and you're like bad-mouthing Gary Keller, you're probably not going to get anywhere. He's probably going to just do this to you. Okay, so when attracting agents, just make sure you know your audience. Make sure you find out what's important to them. For me, it wasn't RevShare. I didn't come here because of RevShare. I came here because of the Icon program. I wanted to get that stock. I wanted to earn my money back. The RevShare sounded great, but I'm coming from KW. I made like $1,100 a year in profit share. So it didn't really seem real to me that it could end up being something very, very real. So now I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit of the story about how I got into real estate, and it's going to all tie into community in a big way. So back in 1995, I was about 19 years old. I lived in San Diego. I was in retail management, and I was getting promoted to Las Vegas. I was going out there to run 3 stores and take over for the mighty Aaron Taylor. This guy was a god in this company. Okay, and so I go to Las Vegas. I get to meet Aaron. We become friends, and he was leaving to get into real estate. So that was my first experience of watching somebody get into real estate, and he loved it, and he was crushing it. And so I end up living in Vegas for a year. I crushed it. Came back to San Diego, ran 5 stores there, and I did that for several years. I started working for this company when I was right before my 15th birthday. And so it was hard for me to leave that place because of the community that was built. But I did eventually, obviously. And so in 2001, I met a guy by the name of Peter Middleton in La Jolla. And so I meet Pete, and this is the end of 2001. So we all remember 9/11. And I'm like, I'm just going in to meet him. Hey, is it a good time to get into real estate? And he's like, he's from Boston. He's like, it's the best time ever. And you're going to be on my team. Just instantly. I had 1 interview. So next thing I know, I get my license. And now I'm working in La Jolla, one of the most expensive real estate markets. And I'm like pinching myself. So for the next 3 years, I was like a sponge. I literally learned everything I could from this guy. And we built the #1 RE/MAX team in all of Southern California. we obviously couldn't beat the guy over there, Mr. Brent Gove. I think you were in 2004. You were still with Remax, right? Yep. So you were crushing it up there, and so then it came to the time where I was like, okay, I need to spread my wings. I need to build my own team. So I had to break my community with Pete. One of the hardest things I ever had to do, but I knew I had to do it. We still remained friends, but the community was broken. We didn't hang out like we did before. It was totally different. Okay, so now I'm still at Remax, and having fun, but the energy in the office sucked. It was 2010. Everybody around me was doing terrible. I was lucky enough to keep doing well, and so I ended up going to KW. And the guy who recruited me at KW recruited me and then was gone. I'd never talked to him again, maybe once or twice over the next several years. So the community feeling there was not there. It was a great office. We were the #1 office in all of San Diego, or at least we built it to that. Chris Heller was the OP of the office, great guy, and a great system, but it was lacking for me. So now I hear about eXp, and my life just absolutely just upside down. I couldn't believe the model. But the model was one thing, but again, for me, it was about finding a place that I can finish my career at, a place that I can actually be here the rest of my career. So my first day at eXp, I was lucky enough to have Jason Guessing give me a call. I was one of the first agents in San Diego to switch over back in February 2018. I almost didn't come, and the reason why I almost didn't come is because I was trying to call the broker, and he wasn't calling me back. I'm like, geez, it's been 2 weeks. I'm trying to have a conversation, because remember, I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a recruiter. I wasn't a broker owner or anything like that. I was a broker associate. I got every designation I could as an agent, and I wanted to sell a lot of houses, and I wanted to help people. And so for me, my eXp experience almost didn't even get off the ground. But because Mitch Ryback had the energy to call Jason and say, hey, you need to call Bobby. Jason calls me up an hour later. I get off the phone with him, and I'm like, this guy is amazing. And so I went ahead and I made the switch. The thing I realized that day was that this was a startup, and it took all of us in this room, all of us in the company, to really give 100% and pick up the pieces where they needed to be picked up. Kind of like what you were talking about yesterday, Brent, when you saw the trash at your church, you picked it up. You just started doing it. And so I realized that right from day one that that's what I needed to do in the San Diego market and help other agents come over to eXp. And I was lucky enough to have a couple of huge teams come over right away, so it legitimized eXp right away within our market. And 2 years later, we won Brokerage of the Year for San Diego Association of Realtors, which was a really impressive thing, and I was super happy to see that happen. So as I talked about, there was definitely some onboarding woes. Now, we talked about Aaron Taylor a little while ago. Okay, so obviously, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I got to go get Aaron. This is my idol. I idolize this guy. I wanted him so bad. First conversation, it was like this. Nope, Bobby, I'm good. He was a broker owner at the time, 80 agents in Las Vegas, and so kind of gave me the stiff arm. I'm like, all right. So it just so happened he was coming to San Diego. I say, hey, let's go play golf. He comes to my house. Jason texts me that morning. He's like, hey, I want to introduce you on the main stage for the eXp leadership meeting. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. It's like maybe March of 2018. So Aaron comes over. He's watching me on the computer, and he's like, what the hell is this? And I looked at him, and I'm like, I thought you knew about eXp. Just like someone said earlier. People think they know the model. They don't know jack. And so that was his first experience watching that. And there was like 400 agents in the room. And from that one experience, a bunch of people got to know me. and I got to know them, and now it's bringing me referrals like you would not believe. I've closed over 100,000 in incoming referrals for people buying or selling real estate in San Diego. So it's pretty huge. So now with Aaron, my first shareholders, and honestly, when I went to my first shareholders, I was just hoping that all of you guys didn't have 3 heads. I was like, please don't be weird. Please be normal people. I was freaked out. I was like, this is a big change for me. I just bought my dream home. I had the easiest life ever. I was working 30 hours a week, selling over $40 million in real estate with 1 assistant and 1 buyer's agent. That was my life prior to eXp. So it was a big adjustment, to say the least. So at this shareholders, where's Sam? Sam's back there. Sam helped out in a huge way. He met Aaron with me. We talked. We went over to his office. Got to introduce him to Glenn, to Gene. Gene pulls him aside. He's like, hell yeah, check this out. Look what I made last month. Everybody helped. Gene's not in my upline. He didn't need to do that. You know, a lot of people have helped me who haven't been part of my organization. Everybody in this room, we're all part of one downline. So it's really important to remember that. Now, the censure for getting, Aaron finally says, okay, I'm coming. So for me, I'm just like beside myself. He wants to bring his brokerage, 80 agents. So now I find myself similar screen like this in a room full of about 60 agents or so. So of the 80, only 60 showed up. And so here I am. I'm like, what am I going to do different? How am I going to stand out to these people? So I go onto Workplace Chat and I reach out to Glenn Sanford. And I'm like, I don't know if you remember me, but this is what's going on. And he's like, and I have an idea. I want you to help me with something. He's like, well, at that time, I'm just getting back from a trip, and I'll be driving home, so I could pull over to the side of the road. And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, this guy is going to pull over to the side of the road to help me? And so what we did is, while I was doing the tour, I took them into the world and took them into the Red Hall, and then on the screens was Aaron's websites. And there on the stage was Glenn Sanford and Mitch Ryback. And both of them are there to talk to the group of people. And man, to see people's jaws just drop to the ground, it was one of the funnest, coolest things I'd ever seen. And for that reason, I honestly would take a bullet for Mitch. I would take a bullet for Glenn. Both of those guys are just tremendous, tremendous people who just give themselves constantly to us. So, now, going full circle, now I got Aaron here, and guess who comes later? Peter Middleton. So my 2 mentors in this business are now all of us together, one community, one team, and man, it just feels good. It feels like home. And that's why, for me, community is so, so important. And so it is by far the lifeline of this company. So let me see here. Now, I want to share another section. Let me see here. So, by the way, this was this was given to me. This is actually not my presentation, so I'm kind of weaving in and out of this stuff. So, now with creating social events, cabin trips, all these things, first off, I haven't done most of these things. I know a lot of the people in this room, because again, for me, I didn't come here to recruit. I've been doing some recruiting, and it's been great, but for me, it hasn't been the most important thing. So, but I see after this 2 days how really important this kind of stuff is. Because certain groups, the groups that are growing the fastest are the ones who are most together, that are helping each other, and that are doing all these types of groups or group events. So, in San Diego, I've been able to do some events with my team and things like that, but we haven't gone outside of San Diego to do other events. So now I'm going to leave you with one last story, and this is a guy who gave me a referral, who's in Las Vegas. He's a solo agent, 3 years in the business. I don't even know how he got to me, but we became friends. And he's not in my downline, and his sponsor was a newer agent in a different state, so he's literally an orphan in Las Vegas. And so he gives me this referral, we become friends, and 2 weeks ago he sends me a text message, and he's like, Bobby, I know you have a family. I've been married almost 20 years. I got 2 kids. Love my life. I've got a perfect family situation. And so he's like, I see you. He's like, how do you manage, to do so much volume and still have a life? Because for me, family's the most important thing. The only reason why I don't sell 300 houses a year is because I want to be around my kids. I want to be around my family as much as possible. So I've kind of always made exactly the amount of money I want to. And so it was so cool to have a conversation with this kid and give him all of the things that I've learned over the years. And I used to suck at the relationship thing with my wife. Every day I was like putting her second. If the phone rang and we're at dinner, sometimes I'd answer it, back in the day. So I learned from my mistakes. So I was able to give that to him. And, he called me up the next day after that conversation and was just almost in tears, because he really appreciated that. So again, not in my downline. And so basically the point of that story is we got to be able to pick up every single person in this company. We are only as strong as our weakest person. And so, a lot of us, including myself, I've lost people. I brought them in and then they're gone. I'm like, whoa, what happened? And it was my fault. I didn't communicate enough. I didn't corral them enough in the beginning because I got too busy. And so really it's about planning for what you're trying to do and making sure you have the scheduling to do what you're trying to do. Because people say, I want to recruit 1,000 agents. Well, is it in your schedule? Probably not. It wasn't in my schedule. I was, like, my first year at eXp, I was running around with my head cut off. I was waking up at 4 a.m. every morning, jumping out of bed, and working, 12, 15-hour days all of a sudden. And again, I was working 30 hours a week before that. So all of a sudden, I was working 60-hour work weeks. So it was just crazy for the first year. And so that's all I got for you. Thank you very much, and pass this off to you, my friend.
That was really good. Man, I've never heard Bobby Martins actually present. I knew you'd be good. Willems, what did I say to you? I did. I'd never heard you speak. I go, he's a total baller from San Diego. He's like, where does he fit? I go, I don't know, but I'm sure glad he's here. And that was really good. You are a very talented speaker. So
let me introduce you real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to you because you guys aren't here to hear me speak. But there's a great quote. It's the strength of the pack is the wolf. The strength of the wolf is the pack. How many people in here feel like they're lone wolves? Anybody in here feel like they're a lone wolf or felt like you're a lone wolf? There's a thing called the myth of the lone wolf. The reality is the lone wolf dies, right? I don't want to get too into the weeds, but if you go back into anthropology, humans weren't the dominant species for hundreds of thousands of years. We were actually third or fourth on the totem pole, right? The wolves ate first, the cats ate second, the vultures ate third, and then we got what was left over. And then we started studying the wolves, and we started learning from the wolves, and we started realizing, and the thing that the wolves taught humans was that how to be specialists, right? You can't be a good mechanic, you can't be a good doctor, a good lawyer, you can't be good at everything, right? We need each other. We need other human beings in our lives. And if you think you're doing it all yourself and you're going it alone and you're just gonna, slay the dragon all by yourself, you're fooling yourself. You need to team up with people, and that's something I've learned by watching these guys. These guys are the masters of the universe at this game that we're playing. They invented this game. Guys like Gene and Rob and Brent and Sheila, and I mean, it's just like watching titans of the industry. I always think about like real estate agents are like football teams. Well, the people that are building brokerages, those are like the league creators. Like they created this league that we're playing in, right? So listen, leverage these people in the room, leverage these contacts, leverage your teams. Don't be a lone wolf.
awesome. Thank you, Brian. All right. Great job, Brian. So you guys are in luck here. because I had to use the restroom when Chuck and Angela were talking. It was so good I couldn't leave the room. Great job. And then, okay, I'll go after they talk. And then Susan came up. Where's Susan? You're amazing. Let's give her a warm hand. Because I knew you guys. But I really have never heard you speak. And Rob and I were in the back going, she's amazing. She's like the mama of the group. Like this, everything's okay. We're safe. We're in a good place. Anybody get that feeling? Was she? Yeah, give her a hand. It was very warm and sincere. Like, I feel better about my life after hearing you. And then Bobby, you did not disappoint. I think when you were done, okay, I'll go. And then you're being introduced by Brent. I'm like, oh, this is too good. I'm pretty much in pain right now, and I'm gonna go really quick. So you're in luck, because I'm gonna go fast, and we're out of here. Has it been a good 2 days? So what's coming up? The backyard barbecues you're gonna throw, where you could do hot dogs and Oscar Mayer wieners, you know? Doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but people wanna be invited. It's movie nights. It's a night where you play Sam and Stacy. We're gonna edit that thing up, and you could roll that thing for 40 minutes. There's all kind of beach houses. There's cabin trips. There's things you plan. Wine tasting in Temecula, Napa. I'm doing a big event in Napa called the Century Club. Make up names. What's the Century Club? I just made it up. It's for agents who have 100 agents in their group. It's something for them to aspire to. You heard me talk about Maui 2022. Some of you are going, oh yeah, 200 agents, I'm there. 20 FLQAs, I'm there. And I'm glad you feel that way, but you missed it. How many of your front line are gonna strive? You got 18 months to get them to 200. Have 10 of those, you're at 2,000. So it ain't about you being in Maui in May 2022, hanging with us, having a great time, and eating at Chemo's, and being in Canapoli, and the great golf, and the world-class destinations, and the golden sandy beaches, and the tropical trade. Oh my God, I wanna go right now. But it's about who you're gonna bring and talking to them. Man, I gotta have you there. I have to have you there. And you can't limp in with 7 FLQAs. You know what I'm talking about? You know the worst numbers in the world? It's not 13. It's 9, 14, 19, 24, and 39. Do you guys know what those numbers are? If you don't know why those are the worst numbers in the world, you will find out. Because when you have this big group of 900 agents and you're at 24 FLQA and you miss 25 by a smidge, Cliff Freeman, y'all saw it, they published it. He hit 39. He's got thousands and thousands and thousands. I'm not making Cliff, if you're watching this, I love you, but it had to hurt. You hit 39. It literally was well over $100,000 hit that month, not for the year. Now that's a speeding ticket. So don't be a victim of 4, 9, 14, 19, 24, 39. Be an overcomer. This is not Glenn Sansard's fault. It's not Dave Kennard's fault. It isn't my fault. Look in the mirror and go, I take responsibility. I should have never been that close in the first place. Step up and go, if it's too tough for you, it's just right for me. Own it. Own it. Don't blame eXp. Don't blame the stock. Don't blame anyone shorting our stock. I bought a bunch of stock yesterday. I love it. The stock's on sale. I believe in the future of this company. I will gladly stand here in 10 years and go, man, I was there when it was 40-something a sale. They're like, oh my gosh. Those days are coming. It's so exciting what's happening. So we're gonna wrap up today with the speed of the leader determines the pace of the pack. But before I do that, I don't wanna forget, eXp has provided 6 private cabanas for us at the pool today. Now, a lot of you are maybe catching flights, but for those who want to say, we have 6 of these things. They're like $1,000 a piece. Like $6,000, and there's shade, there's fans, there's TVs. They wait on you hand and foot. So at the big pool where the waterfall is, we have 6 cabanas for all of you, and it's going to be a great time. And James wanted me to remind you, he doesn't want to pay your bar bill. So we're providing the shade, the cabanas, and if you're not dressed in a swimsuit, there's shade, there's TVs on, there'll be sports. Please don't watch the politics. Oh my God, throw a damper on it. But you know, watch anything but that. Watch Pixar, you know, or whatever. So we're gonna have a great time. If you can change, come swim with us, do all that. But we're gonna wrap it up. Here we go. I gotta use it. So number 1, what is it you need to do as you leave here? You need to sponsor 5, 10, 15, 20 more ASAP. Sponsoring 3 is what got you here and starts to give life to your group. And sponsoring is what gives you growth. Sponsoring is what helps you continue to grow. It's like throwing gas on your business. Then do it again and again and again. Ideally 20 in the next 6 months or sooner. And then what do? Do 20 again in the next 6 months. And then you've got that mythical number 40. Most people, again, they sponsor 5, 10, 15, 20, it works, and they stop sponsoring. You cannot stop sponsoring. The speed of leader determines the pace of the pack. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. Schedule a time to make calls or to follow up if you've got all these people reaching out to you. I just never had that. I had to reach out to them. I had to reach out to the Curtis Johnsons. I had to reach out to the Don Yoakams. I had to reach out to people who most of them told me no. And I just kept reaching out. And I moved on. And then Sean Work, 3 years later, says yes. And then they just start coming. But I didn't wait for anyone. Don't be shocked if the timing's not right. Timing isn't always right. It's a timing thing. Stay in their life, like Don Yoakam said. Your action speaks so loud I can hardly hear what you're saying. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Just go do it. Man, listen to me. You got all day tomorrow. What does all day tomorrow mean? What all day tomorrow means is this. You could call 10, 20 people tomorrow. You got time. You may not do it. You may justify, well, I'm going to go golfing or I'm going to be at the pool or whatever. But, if your life isn't where you want it to be, you could actually say, I'm going to take the whole day and do this. I've taken the entire day, done an open house, right? I start putting the signs out at 8:30 in the morning, and then I'm out there, starting, changing at 11, 10 o'clock, and then going until 5, 6, 7 at night. And if they're coming through, I stay till 8. They're still, the sun's gone down at 6. I've stayed till 9, 3 hours in pitch darkness, and they're rolling through the door for an open house. What if you spend an entire day and say it's going to called Grow My Rev Share Day? I made the list of the 10. I dropped it to 10, but he said 12. Sorry, I'm bad. I cut my 10 Top Gun list, hot shots. Seismic earthquake if they get an EXP. I made 10. I got so excited about my list. Thank you, Don. And I'm going to call them all. And you know what? I may just flop and only get 1/10 of a result. I may only get one of my big dogs. And it's going to be an earthquake, and you're going to feel it, baby. And you should be the same way. Well, they wouldn't be interested. There's no way they do that. You don't know until you ask. So just start asking. So let's see. Did I get all that? Your group's watching you. If you're not growing the way you're going, it's because you're trying to list more homes. You're trying to get more buyers. You're trying to work on your CRM. We've all been there, done that. Jeff, have we not for years sold hundreds and hundreds of homes? And if you quit doing all that activity, what would it mean to you? It would eventually just dwindle away. It's like you never did it. It's like pulling your finger out of a glass of water. And so sponsoring that second batch of 20 in the second half of the year is like throwing gas on the fire. It creates enthusiasm. It creates excitement. You want to fix your thing? How do you get wet wood to burn? You ever been on the beach? Woods, in the mountains, kind of wet wood? You find some dry wood, man. Where am I going to find that? It's been raining. Okay, fine. Freeze your ass off. You go find some dry wood. I'm just reminding me of a funny story. I interviewed this guy on the craziest, he was a property manager, craziest story. He goes, I got one for you. He goes, I had a guy call me, he says, you need to take over my rental. I obviously can't do it. Why? He goes, I had a tenant and they couldn't pay the power bill and they lost the power to the house and I think they were doing drugs and alcohol. So he started going out to the back of the house and pulling the shingles off the house and throwing it in the fireplace. And they end up stripping the entire house of shingles over the next 3 or 4 months. They burned the house down in the fireplace. They pulled wood off the house and burned it in the fireplace. Now that's unique. You got to hand it to them. Now, what is the moral to this story? I don't know. I just remembered. I thought it was interesting. Yeah. So when you do it, it takes away other people's excuses. It inspires the troops. What do you mean inspires? When I put a person just like Bobby Martin next to Bobby Martin and he goes and does it, Bobby's like, okay, okay, I gotta cut this out. When I put a Susan, a sweet, amazing, was she not amazing? Her heart and all this stuff next to Susan, and then this woman kills it. She may look at me or Chuck and Angela or Bobby. I mean, look at me. He looks like a freaking movie star. His hair's slicked back. He always looks good every time I've seen him. And then, but when you see, I see, this is just me. I go like this on a $5 million listing appointment. I'm like this at funerals. I'm bad. But here's the deal. When you see someone like you, who goes and tears it up, it takes away your excuses. But if you guys don't go sign up another 10, 15, 20 and put someone just like you right next to you who started 2 months after you and was already ahead of you, now she wants to forget that. Barb's got nothing on me, right? Cindy's got nothing. Now she's chasing. Does that make sense? Really important that you do these things. You must be intentional about this. It's short-term pain, long-term gain. You're going to be busy, but make it fun. Our mantra, we say it all the time, eXp, making real estate fun again. Yes. Gene coined that. Say it constantly, group, and then make it fun. Have movie nights. Have we done Friday night movie nights at the office? And we invite 10, 15, 20 people over. We cram my office people. We have popcorn. We have hot chocolate, hot tea, a few cold beers, a few bottles of wine, maybe a bottle of red, bottle of white. Some people drink the hot chocolate. Some people have a nice glass of wine. Nobody's getting hammered. It's not the toga party at Brent's office, but it's a nice time. And guess what we do? We'll watch webinars. Maybe even this webinar, we'll cut out a section of this, but we create community. You could do the same thing. So, Cabo in Dallas, I think they could change your grandchildren's children's future this next year in 2021, Cabo in Dallas. Every day we're hoping to open up more tickets. We're having an issue with the Hyatt. We hope to have it released. I've been telling everyone last week, didn't happen. This week didn't happen. It looks like it'll be next week now, just straight up. It is not us, it is them. We're gonna get it done. If you'd like to come to Cabo, it's coming up here February 21st through the 26th. We sold out 500 tickets in 72 hours. The next 500 will be gone in 24. There's so much of a desire for these tickets. Can we roll the video right now? We're gonna roll the video and just show you this. Check the website, brentgove.com, twice a day, 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. Morning, noon, and night. Here we go. You're all invited. Oh man, that is going to be amazing. So if I was you, and I'm not you, but I'd be sitting there going, wild horses couldn't keep me away from that event. Like, well, it opened up and sold out in a day. So I'd stay next door at a hotel next door and just come over. But it's $150 to get a day band, right, Stroop? $150. I'd pay the $150 and I'd go hang out with Jason Guessing and Dave Kennord and Brian and Gene Frederick and all of you. And I'd have people with me, guaranteed. I might get 40 or 50 people at the hotel next door. I go, yeah, it's $150 a day. I know people who spend that gambling in Las Vegas at a table in 10 minutes. I know people who spend that going out drinking at clubs. I know people who they'll get a $150 bottle of wine. This is your future we're talking about. You go, well, gee, no one's going to want to do that. I think we're going to have 1,000 people there during COVID, and Hyatt's making sure we're all spread out. Now, the 500 are in a different room. They'll be the main room. We got another ballroom, and we're going to simulcast in that ballroom. Oh, so I don't even get to be, nope, it's 9 to noon for 3 hours a day. When you're in the room, a lot of times you're watching the screen anyways, and if you could bring up my old slide set, we'll do that. But anyways, and I'll make sure Glenn Sanford comes in, and Jason Guessing, and Dave Kennord, and Gene Frederick, and Brian Coy, and different people come in and see you, but you won't be in the main room. So we wanted to let you know that. And also, we can only accommodate another 170 people, maybe at the Hyatt. So once the Hyatt rooms are gone, and you get the rooms through the website, brentgove.com. You go on your own, they're $1,400 a night. Through us, it's $225 a night per person. And so that's how that works. So if your spouse comes, it's $450 a night, but includes all of your meals, all of your adult beverages. So I'm just saying, I would go no matter what. There's no way I'd be locked out of this because I'd just go, well then, but if you stay next door, you can't fit in the ballroom because the Hyatt will only have 1,500 and 500. You're right, you'd miss the 9 to noon, but I'd still be there for the breakfasts at 7 a.m. I'd be at the beach and the pool at noon. I'd be going out to dinner every night. You heard Chuck and Angela. They loved being here. We were here like four months ago or something, but what they talked about were the dinners. What they talked about were the people they met. And so it'll really help you grow. So as we wrap this up today, I cannot believe to tell you how important that is in Dallas. We're adding we have 4,000 in the Grand Ballroom in Dallas. We're adding another couple thousand. We hope to have 6,000 at the event. Now, Mega Camp for Keller Williams draws 6,000, but Keller Williams, it's just something James and I are throwing together. And we got Tony Robbins flying in his G5, and he's going to speak to you the final day and just blow your mind. And so it's going to be an amazing event, but you should be thinking, can I get 400 people there or 500? Can I? Not you. It's not about you, because you get your people there, they get belief. And so Chuck and Angela did a great job about that. So Dallas and Cabo figured it out. And every time I went to these, we would seriously spend at least 20 to 30,000. And then we started putting them on. Then I started spending 40, 50, 60, 70,000. But we've been handsomely rewarded for our investment. So make the investment. I say, I will pay for your room to come. Nobody ever pays for anything. You know how Keller Williams got me away from RE/MAX? They did a business planning clinic, and it was $75 to go. They go, we will scholarship you. We'll invest the money for you to come. Really going to pay for me at $75? We got you. We want you to come see what we're about. I came, and I fell in love with all of you, except it was Keller Williams. It's always the events. It's the people recruit the people. Get them. I'll say it one more time. You got to get this as we wrap it up. This business is owned by the promoters. The more you promote, it's over. You help them get their airline ticket, because you'll make this mistake. Yeah, I'm going. I registered, and then they don't get their airline ticket. You got to stay on them to get their airline ticket, because then they wait, and all of a sudden 2-3 weeks in advance, now it's $1,900 a person, $4,000 a couple to get the couple. Oh, we're not going. Hey, whose fault is that? It's their fault. No, it is your fault for not being intense, having a list, checking it twice, pretending like you're Santa Claus. Now, execution strategy every day of the week, and everybody struggles. Listen to me. I'm ending with this thought. Everybody struggles. I know you're struggling. I've struggled with my weight. I've struggled with my marriage. I've struggled with the business. You're not special in that way. We all struggle. I watched Jeff, the first year he joined, go through elbow surgery, heart surgery, and had some intense stuff going on in his own personal life. 3 different like major deals. We all got it. Some of you got marriage stuff going on right now. You got financial stuff. Some of you are wondering if you have enough money to get back to the airport to catch your flight home. I've been to events like this. I've been to events like this and slept in the car because I wanted to go golfing the next day. Sleep in a hotel room, don't go golf. Sleep in the car, have money to go golfing. I slept in the car and went golfing. I mean, that was a long time ago, 22 days ago or something. But no, it's like 22 years ago. But so here's the deal. We all struggle. So I just want to tell you about little Jimmy Braddock. If I wrap this up, he's born at the turn of the century. And he's born to immigrant parents. And he's a little Irish kid or something. Little Jimmy Braddock. And grows up, turns 22, 23, meets a girl, falls in love. They get married. And he's working on the docks. He's unloading freight. True story. They made a movie about his life. They went, how about living the kind of a life that's so epic they make a movie about your life? And he's just loading cargo off ships in New York. But he, for fun, starts boxing. And he's actually quite good at boxing. And he actually starts doing so good, he started winning so much prize money, he quit offloading the cargo. And he becomes quite the famous little boxer. He actually gets a nice car, right? Range Rover. Gets a nice apartment in New York. He actually, remember the fur coats they used to wear in the 20s, the roaring 20s? He had his fur coat, and he's loving it. He's all about the money, the cars, the recognition. You're number 7 in the region. Oh, you're number 3 in the office. Don, you're number 1 in the nation. And it feels good to be the top dog. And I like recognition too, and we should do it. I'm not knocking it. But what happened was keeps going up, and there's always someone better. And he got in a fight with the boxer who he fought so hard he broke his right hand in the fight, and the boxer almost killed him. He almost died in the ring, and it was so bad that the New York Boxing Commission revoked his boxing license, whereby that was like you losing your real estate license or your broker's license, and he lost his ability to make a living. So long story short, he's got a broken hand. It's 1929. Can it get any worse? Anybody heard of the Great Depression? It was the roaring 20s. It's awesome. Then bam, soup lines, the Dust Bowl, Oklahoma, people waiting for hours, no food, people selling cars for $10 just to buy some food. And times are tough. His wife and their 3 kids, it got so bad he couldn't pay his apartment. He couldn't pay the oil bill to keep the heat on. In the winter in New York, you need heat on in the apartment. They quit delivering the milk. His kids got sick. They ended up getting pneumonia. True story, they documented the whole thing. They're lying in their beds, coughing and wheezing. They could see their breath, and he's going out every day with a broken hand looking for work. It is the great 1929. There's no work. He's getting little bits and pieces. He'd go down to the docks, there'd be 400 men, and the guy would point and pick like 10 of them. And every once in a while, he'd get picked, and he'd hide his broken hand, and he'd work with the broken hand, and he had to use his left hand and just kind of try to work. It got so bad, one day he gets home and his kids are gone. And he goes to his wife, where are the kids? Where are the kids? And she goes, just calm down. They're next door, Jimmy. Calm down, the wife, Renee Zellweger. And he's like, where are the kids? He's almost frantic. It's okay, Jimmy, we can't take care of our children. We can't feed our own kids. They're starving. They're actually starving. They're all sick. I've made arrangements. Your Aunt Maud is going to take them out in Iowa. Your brother and sister Dan in Miami are going to take little Joey. He is a man, gets emotional that he literally cannot protect, provide, keep his children warm, and at least give them some basic essentials. And he freaking loses it. And he goes back to his old boxing promoter. He just leaves. Jimmy, where you going? He just leaves. And he goes down. He finds his old boxing promoter. And he goes, I need a fight. He goes, get away from me, deadbeat loser. You almost cost me license. Get away from me. And he grabs him, picks him up in the air, and puts him on the wall. He goes, I said I need a fight. And he goes, okay, calm down, Jim, calm down. He goes, I'll give you a fight. One fight, $50. He goes, $50? And he goes, $50. I mean, it's like chump change in the fighting room. And he goes, will you do it? He goes, for $50, I'd fight my grandmother right now. He's got nothing. And so he ends up fighting this guy. And he broke his hand. So what happened was, the tragedy of breaking his right hand, his left hook was never any good and it wasn't strong. He became very strong. And all of a sudden he had a right and a left. He was a great boxer. His right hand had healed. He just whipped the guy like that. And his old boxer was like, what the heck was that? And he goes, man, I just had fun in there. And he's so excited. He's getting beat up, didn't even care. He's got $50. He's going to provide for his children. Just beat me, man. Didn't even care. I'm going to take care of my children. They could just bleeding. And he enjoyed the beating, and he beat the other guy. He goes, you fight like that, I'll give you another fight. He goes, sure. He goes, $100. He goes, $100? Whips that guy. Next fight, 200. Next fight, 500. Pretty soon, he's whipping. They documented fight after fight after fight. He whips like 15 guys in a row. And he goes back to the welfare department. They document it. Rolls up a stack of cash. Everyone's lined for money. He slides it under the bars and pays back the welfare department in the state of New York. No one ever pays it back. And they're like, what is this? He goes, thank you for helping me when I needed it. He goes, here, give it to somebody else. And he pays him back. And now he goes to fight the man who almost killed him, who broke his hand. And Renee Zellweger's begging him not to take the fight. And he's like, I'm going to take the fight. And he takes the fight. By the third round, he's completely obliterating a dude that's twice his size, with shoulders like Jeff Willems, big shoulders, big monster of a man like this. And then the guy, by the third round, the guy that almost destroyed him, he's back in his chair. He's leaning back. The guy he's fighting, not our boy Jimmy Braddock. And he's like this, and he takes his mouthpiece out, and his trainer's behind him going, he's like, what's up? He's like, what's the matter with you? What's up? You whipped this guy last time. You whipped him. And then the guy, I'll never forget, he leaning back, he's like this, takes his mouthpiece out. He's exhausted. He goes, he ain't the same guy. He's just not the same guy. Because he was fighting for money. He's fighting for rev share, stock, Ferrari, boat. He didn't really realize what he was truly fighting for. This time it's personal. And so after he beat that guy, there's only one fight left. The heavyweight boxing championship of the world against a guy named Max Baer. Max Baer had killed 2 men in the ring in the 20s, documented. Beat them so bad they died in the ring. Max Baer was a bear of a man, and he was mean as hell. And Renee Zellweger's begging Jimmy Braddock, don't take the fight. I won't see it again. He'll kill you, Jimmy. He'll kill you. And he's like, I got to do it. I got to do it. And he was like, so she can't talk him out of him. He goes up against Max Baer. And Max Baer makes the other guy like nothing. And just before the fight, they go to the press corps. It's an audience like this, all reporters. And they're flashing pictures, and he's kind of smiling. And they're like, hey, congratulations, Jimmy. You represent the working man. You came from nothing, and now you're back. And everybody's rooting for you. You're Seabiscuit. You're the underdog, and everybody loves the underdog. And you were nobody. Now look at you. And then he's, yeah, it's great. I'm grateful. And then one of the guys goes, so what changed, Jimmy? What changed? And he thought about it. And he goes, I know what I'm fighting for. I know what I'm fighting for. Everyone looks at each other. Oh my gosh, Cinderella. They named him at the time. They named him Cinderella Man. It's a Cinderella story. Cinderella Man knows what he's fighting for, and they're all taking notes like crazy. And all their heads are down. The guy who asked the question popped up. All the other heads are down, and he goes, "What are you fighting for, Jimmy?" Right? They're like, "Oh, it's so great. He knows what he's fighting for." Then he realized they didn't know what he was fighting for, and he looks, and all the heads go up, and they're all ready to write, and he goes, "Milk." I'm slobbered all over this mic. Milk. In other words, it's gotten really, really personal. So, by the way, he goes on to beat Max Braddock, becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm getting emotional telling this story because I've lived this story, man. And so I guess my closing question for all of you today, and hopefully you see this question coming. What are you fighting for? when you make that next call to the next independent agent, Keller Williams franchise owner, superstar independent couple. What are you fighting for? And I think you'll find the courage down deep in your soul to do what you got to do to change their life and the lives of all the people they have influence over, and have legacy business for your children's children, and to have an incredible impact on this life. I love you all. See you at the pool. Let's go. Woo! We're out of here. Go fly safe. 12:30 at the pool. Don't be late.